Chapter 1240. Let's go. Under Xiao's command, Chu Yao, Qin Yin, and the rest flew into the spatial gate. Feng Jixing wielded his dual blades and once again used wind to block the pursuing Mara's army. Hundreds of experts guarding the Hall of Great Accomplishment entered the alternate dimension. Trying to escape? No way. Chase after them. Ziyan roared. Bai Feng, Holy King, and the rest flew down. Who dares to chase after us? The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor roared. He raised his left hand, and a storm blasted through the air in front of him. It turned into a blazing river and blocked Bai Feng, Holy King, and the rest. No one dared to cross this river. Otherwise, they would be killed. The might of the mad god's 7 luminaries Demon Emperor was not just for show. Humph. Ziyan smiled sinisterly. 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, if you send them off, who will send you off? The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor suddenly vomited a mouthful of blood. The fighting spirit in his eyes burned even brighter. He held Panga's axe and laughed. There's no need. I come and go as I please. Do you scum think you can keep me here? Is that so? A cold voice came from behind the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor. It was the voice of the World Destroyer Holy Emperor, one of the 3 Holy Emperors of the demon world. Swish! An ice blade blasted straight at the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor's back. However, the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor had already predicted it. He dodged it and stretched out his axe to hook God Destroyer Holy Emperor's extreme frost. He pulled it back and instantly switched places with the World Destroyer Holy Emperor. He laughed and said, "Come, have a taste of the power of the God Destroyer Pagoda." Ah! How could the Holy Emperor have thought of such a move? His body was quickly burned into ashes by the God-destroying pagoda. On the other hand, the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor disappeared from the sky above the Hall of Great Accomplishment. Ah ah ah! The Holy Emperor's screams reverberated through the air. Finally, when the body of the Holy Emperor of World Annihilation turned into a cloud of smoke, the people of the demon realm were all stunned. Humph! The Netherworld Demon King snorted coldly, then lowered his head and rushed into the Hall of Great Accomplishment, as if he didn't want to talk to Ziyan anymore. As for Bai Feng Holy King, he frowned and said, "Ancestor Emperor Ziyan, why didn't you retract the power of the God-exterminating pagoda? With your cultivation, you should be able to control the God-exterminating pagoda. Then, world-exterminating Holy Emperor wouldn't have died." Really? Ziyan smiled faintly. What if I don't want to retract this attack from the God-destroying pagoda? Bai Feng, don't forget who you are with. Ziyan laughed coldly. Originally, I only needed to use the God-destroying pagoda for a while to melt Violent God's arrogance. That would have been enough to kill him. However, it was that trash, world-exterminating Holy Emperor, who interfered and let Violent God go. What's the point of keeping such trash alive? Furthermore, if world-exterminating Holy Emperor doesn't die, how can I become the perfect master of the demon realm? As he said that, Ziyan took a deep breath. Instantly, the remnants of world-exterminating Holy Emperor's demonic energy in the air were sucked into his nose. It was as if he had just eaten a feast, and his face was filled with enjoyment. Devouring and the conversation between the Holy Emperor. It was also through this method that Ziyan became so powerful that he didn't even care about the Demon King of the 9 underworlds. After about an hour, Ziyan had completely absorbed the remnants of world-exterminating Holy Emperor's demonic energy. He felt even more energized. Looking at Mount Dashang below, he said, "All right, order the Demon Realm's army to use this Mount Dashang as a base and start spreading out to the surrounding spirit mountains. Send out 2-winged Mara to search for the whereabouts of Xiao, Qin Yin, and the rest. We must eradicate the Eastern Celestial Realm." "Yes, Ancestor Emperor." The moonlight was as red as blood. On this night, the Eastern Celestial Realm fell. Countless people were killed, and there were at least 20,000 of them. The once prosperous Eastern Celestial Realm was about to be destroyed. At this time, on Mount Buhai, which was an unknown distance away from the Eastern Celestial Realm, several figures landed like flowing lights. Among them were Xiao, Feng Jixing, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, and the rest. The remaining gods of the Eastern Celestial Realm were all here. Where is this? Qin Yin asked as she looked at the surrounding forest and fertile land. Xiao glanced at the northern region Tianluan and said, Mount Buhai, a barren land located at the border between the Eastern Divine Realm and the Northern Divine Realm. It is very difficult to detect and can be used as a temporary shelter. Let's not talk too much. Let's find a hidden place to stay first. Many people are injured and need treatment. Do we have anyone who is good at medicine? Me. Chia walked over while holding her injured arm and said, I worked in the spiritual medicine department when I was in the mortal realm. I know how to treat people. That's great. Xiao looked to the east and couldn't help but say, but I don't know how the demon emperor is doing. He's coming. In the air, a group of figures crashed straight into the forest, creating a long ravine. It was the 7 luminaries demon emperor, who was holding Panga's axe. He slowly stood up and said, Is this place safe? It's still safe. The one who spoke was Nu Shi, the only demon in the Eastern Divine Realm. She blinked her eyes and said very seriously, The aura around here is very chaotic. It is almost cut off from the outside. The ability of the people in the demon realm to sense auras is far inferior to the Mahayana heavenly Tao. So as long as no one snitches, we are safe here. That's good. This place will be the temporary shelter of the Eastern Celestial Realm. The 7 luminaries demon emperor's eyes were cold. A trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth again. He said, Let's go and find a cave to rest in. Chu Yao, help me treat my internal organs. Yes, demon emperor. Everyone's eyes were filled with deep worry. Not only did they lose 2 righteous gods in this battle, even a peerless expert like the 7 luminaries demon emperor was seriously injured. The demon realm could be said to be like the sun in the sky now. No one in the 4 celestial realms could stop them. One day later, Western Divine Realm, Temple of Light. Shi Yan sat on the Divine King's throne and looked at everyone indifferently. She said, The Eastern Celestial Realm has been destroyed. The 7 luminaries demon emperor, Xiao, Xin, Shaoxi, and the other righteous gods have escaped. Their whereabouts are unknown. Tell me, what should we do now? In the past, when the Eastern Divine Realm was still here, we could still join forces to fight against the enemy. Now, only the Western Divine Realm and the Northern Heaven Realm are left. Li Fei said, Lord Shi Yan, even the 7 luminaries demon emperor, a first-tier superior god, was defeated. It can be seen how terrifying the power of the demon realm is now. In addition to the increasingly powerful ancestor Emperor Ziyan, it is said that there is also the 9 underworlds demon king. This person is an elder of the demon realm and his strength is unfathomable. In the battle at Mount Deshang, the 9 underworlds demon king fought against Xiao, Xin, and Shaoxi without being defeated. It can be seen how powerful this person is. If Ziyan orders the demon realm to attack the Western Divine Realm in full force, what are the chances of us winning? I'm afraid we have no chance of winning. Shi Yan smiled bitterly. Eva smiled faintly. I feel that Ziyan will not be in a hurry to attack the Western Divine Realm. Why? Shi Yan asked. Eva's blazing angel cloak swayed slightly. She smiled elegantly and said, Ziyan is a despicable, shameless, and narrow-minded person. He will not allow anyone to pose the slightest threat to him. In the battle at Mount Deshang, we clearly saw through the illusory pawn that at least one person could fight against Ziyan's god-destroying tower without dying. That person is the 7 luminaries demon emperor. Therefore, what Ziyan wants to do the most now is to find the 7 luminaries demon emperor and kill him. Therefore, I feel that as long as the 7 luminaries demon emperor is not found, our Western Divine Realm will be safe. Shi Yan said, I can't sense Xin's aura anymore. Perhaps she has gone into hibernation and doesn't want to be discovered. The same goes for Xiao and Shaoxi. The Eastern gods have entered a state similar to hibernation. They don't want to be found by the demon realm. What can we do now? Find them first, protect them, or other choices. Terrelin said, Lady Xian, the most important thing we should do now is to excavate and find primordial light stones to create more old gods. Otherwise, we won't be able to compete with the demon realm. Xian smiled faintly. How strong do we need to be to compete with the demon realm now? Terrelin thought for a while and said, Eva Blazing Angel has comprehended the heavenly way of Mahayana. Together with Lady Xian, we may be able to fight against Ziyan and the 9 Serenities Demon King. As for the rest, we need at least 5,000 battle angels to have a 50% chance of winning. But we only have a few dozen old gods now. It's simply a drop in the bucket. Even a 10 million demon realm army can't resist. Xian seemed a little tired and asked, how many demon realm armies are there in the Eastern Divine Realm? Li Fei said, about 30 million. Xian said faintly, it seems that the fall of the Eastern Divine Realm has become a foregone conclusion. Is there any news of you? He has been cultivating outside for a long time. If he returns, this martial god might be able to reverse the situation. Not yet. Eva shook her head and said, searching for a new kind of power is a very difficult thing. Even if Yu is talented, he can't do it in a day. We still need to give him more time and patience. Yes. Xian pursed her red lips and said, send 5 battle angels to secretly search for the whereabouts of the Eastern Divine Realm gods. Contact them as soon as possible. If they need help, the Western Divine Realm will definitely go all out. Yes. Eternal Sword Domain. The back mountain of the bright sword forest seemed to be always misty and rainy. Lin Muyu sat on a rock and entered a state of meditation. This state had lasted for an entire day. Beside him, Leah held a green umbrella to shield him from the wind and rain. Leah found that Lin Muyu's cultivation seemed to be regressing. During meditation, he didn't even open up his aura to block the wind and rain. Instead, he let the wind and rain hit him like a stone statue. She bent down to look at Lin Muyu's face worriedly and said, Master hasn't woken up for a day and a night. Could he have become stupid from cultivating? Master, talk to Leah. Lin Muyu still didn't say anything. After a long while, he finally opened his eyes slowly. His mind was clear and clear. He stretched his arms and said, Leah, how long have I been meditating? 1 day and 1 night. Leah pouted and said, Master has been ignoring me all this time. Aha, sorry, I was immersed in my state of mind and didn't hear your voice. Then, has Master's proud sword technique improved? Yes. Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, about 70%, soon, ah? Leah wants to see. How do you want to see? The power of the proud sword technique. This, Lin Muyu thought for a while and said with a smile, watch carefully. He stood up and stared at a mountain peak about 2,000 meters away. His body was majestic and unmoving, but his eyes suddenly flashed with killing intent, as if a sword had swept past. Boom. Boom, in the distance, an entire mountain peak suddenly fell horizontally, as if it had been cut diagonally by a sword. Leah opened her mouth and was speechless. Chapter 1241. The sky above the Hall of Great Accomplishment was shrouded in thick clouds. This place had been occupied by the demon realm, so the spiritual power here was almost vacuum-like. Mahayana heavenly gods could not cultivate here at all. Kiki, in the sky, groups of Mara wings formed into battle groups that swept across the sky, looking ferocious and twisted. In the clouds, a flame gradually burned, and then a strong figure appeared. It was a man about 25 years old with a long spear in his hand. He had sword-like eyebrows and bright eyes. The tip of the spear was covered in flames, and the power of the Mahayana heavenly gods was dense around him. This man was none other than Zhao Ding, the god of fire who had just ascended half a day ago. He was a second-class superior god. However, this outstanding expert in the lower planes found that things had changed when he came to the heavenly realm. The gods were long gone, replaced by countless Mara wings. Is the Eastern divinity gone? Zhao Ding's eyes dimmed. If even the Eastern divinity is gone, where can I go after ascending here? What kind of god is this? It's no different from a wandering ghost. While he was deep in thought, a strong aura suddenly came. It was a demon general riding a war tiger. This demon general was too close and had already discovered Zhao Ding's existence. He waved his sword and roared with hundreds of Mara wings, "There's something strange in this cloud. Tear it apart, now." Kiki. Mara wings turned into a bunch of sharp arrows that pierced through the clouds. In an instant, the clouds were scattered and diluted. Zhao Ding could no longer hide. He stood straight in the air with his spear in hand. What's wrong with the Eastern divinity? What did you bastards do to the Eastern divinity? Kiki, it's actually a fish that escaped the net. The demon general laughed. Looks like you're also a god. Unfortunately, you've come to the wrong place. Mount Great Accomplishment is already the territory of the demon realm. Since you're here to die, don't think about leaving. Little ones, kill them. The Mara wings opened their ferocious mouths and roared as they charged at the god of fire. Courting death. Zhao Ding's gaze turned cold. As his spear swept out, a river of flames appeared, instantly swallowing over 100 of the winged Mara, burning them to ashes and scattering their souls. Motherf ****. The demon general was slightly stunned. Only then did he realize that the person in front of him was not an ordinary upright god, but an upright god with a title and special divine power. Otherwise, he would not be so powerful. After all, he had already seen the power of third-rank inferior upright gods without a title like the dragon sequence. It was just a so-so. However, the person in front of him was completely different. His power was at the same level as Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, and Feng Jixing. Blow the magic shell and call for reinforcements. The demon general raised his palm and ordered loudly. Not far away, a winged Mara wings puffed out its mouth and blew an ear-piercing sound. Suddenly, purple clouds in the distant sky began to move over. Those were not ordinary clouds, but clouds that contained countless Mara troops. Once the army arrived, no matter how strong Zhao Ding was, he would not be able to fight against them. Where are the gods of the Eastern God realm? Zhao Ding asked in a low voice. I don't know. The demon general roared. You don't know? Zhao Ding shot forward like an arrow, his spear piercing through the demon general's left arm with a kapuchit sound. With a flick of his wrist, flames sprayed out, directly burning off the demon general's arm. He continued to ask, where did the gods of the Eastern celestial realm go? Speak. The demon general's face was pale. I don't know, I'm just a nobody, humph. Zhao Ding's spear swept out, directly cutting the demon general's body from his battle tiger into two. The tip of the spear was filled with the power of dragon fire. It was not something an ordinary person could block. However, at this moment, a series of pa sounds came from behind. It was the prelude to traveling through the plains. In the blink of an eye, a beautiful figure appeared behind him. She was wearing soft silver armor, and her exquisite figure was very alluring. Even the way she walked in the air was so enchanting. It was the most beautiful woman in the demon realm, Holy King Bai Feng. Another soft-skinned god coming to die? Holy King Bai Feng put one hand on her hip and smiled seductively. Who are you? Zhao Ding did not panic. He did not even have the intention to leave. I am Bai Feng, one of the holy kings of the demon realm, a direct subordinate of ancestor Emperor Ziyan. Holy King Bai Feng smiled faintly. And who are you? I am, the newly promoted fire god Zhao Ding. Oh, so it's Lord Fire God. Bai Feng giggled, if I were you, I would immediately escape from this place as fast as possible. This isn't some amusement park. It's not a place where you can come and go as you please. It's fine if I'm here, but if Lord Ancestor Emperor were to come, you would only be crushed to ashes. Is that so? Zhao Ding squinted his eyes and smiled. But this is the Eastern God realm, my future home. Where can I go if I leave this place? why don't you understand? The smile on Bai Feng's face suddenly disappeared. He unsheathed the sword at his waist and slashed out. Zhao Ding's reaction speed was extremely fast. He raised his long spear to block. Instantly, a peng sound rang out. Zhao Ding had not used his full strength. The two of them were actually evenly matched. However, the endless flames and demonic flames continued to collide, emitting a majestic sound. Under the cover of this sound, Bai Feng looked straight at his opponent and said, "The laws of the world have always been balanced. I don't want the demon realm to be destroyed, nor do I want the god realm to be destroyed. Although Mount Dashang has been conquered, the gods of the eastern god realm have already escaped. They are hiding in an unknown place. If you are smart enough, hurry up and leave. Don't seek death here. Otherwise, if Ancestor Emperor Ziyan or the 9 Underworlds Demon King comes, you, the fire god, will become history." Zhao Ding was shocked. He pondered for a few seconds and understood Bai Feng's words. He suddenly pulled out his spear and shot it towards Bai Feng Holy King. Suddenly, with a dang, Bai Feng Holy King retreated a few hundred meters. Zhao Ding also flew away from Mount Dashang under the cover of a soaring flame. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared without a trace. Bai Feng Holy King looked at Zhao Ding's direction indifferently. However, at this moment, a figure slowly condensed behind her. It was Ziyan who was holding the god-slaying tower. Immediately, Mara on both sides knelt down and shouted, "Long live the god." Bai Feng Holy King's body trembled, but she didn't say a word. Ziyan sneered and said, "Bai Feng, you seem to be sympathizing with these Mahayana heavenly Tao's main gods." I didn't. Ancestor Emperor, please investigate. You didn't? If you didn't, why did you let this fire god Zhao Ding go? Bai Feng's body trembled again and said, I just couldn't bear it. Ancestor Emperor, please give the order. I will immediately bring people to kill this fire god. No need. Ziyan sneered, a mere fire god is nothing to be afraid of. In my eyes, there are only 3 people worth mentioning. Oh. Which 3? Berserk god 7 luminaries, moon god Shiyan, martial god Lin Muyu. In this world, only these 3 people can make me look them in the eye. Ziyan sneered, it's a pity that Lin Muyu seems to have disappeared suddenly. Shiyan is hiding in the western divine realm. She must be scared out of her wits. Now, even the 7 luminaries demon emperor is hiding. The 6 realms are so boring now. Bai Feng smiled faintly and said, I'm afraid that the 3 of them are no match for Ancestor Emperor. After all, the god-slaying tower is almost perfect. So, are you worried that I will kill all these main gods and unify this world of light? Ziyan's eyes were full of provocation, as if Bai Feng would die if he said anything wrong. Bai Feng frowned and suddenly knelt down slowly and said, Ancestor Emperor, please understand. Bai Feng is only a mere holy king. I had been following Ancestor Emperor since the Fekta Temple. At that time, Ancestor Emperor said that the demon world must take revenge on those gods who represent justice. But now, there are countless gods who have died under the demon world's army. Just the eastern and northern heaven realms alone have more than 100,000 crippled gods. It should be enough, not like now. Now what? Ziyan raised his eyebrows. Bai Feng murmured, now. His Majesty, the Ancestor God Emperor, has not only sent 20 million devil luos to attack the 4 great god realms, but he has also attacked the planes under their jurisdiction. The mortals of tens of thousands of planes have been slaughtered and devoured by the devil luos, and the situation is indescribably miserable. This is not revenge, but sin. Didn't Your Majesty, the Ancestor God Emperor, say that even devils have their own paths? If there is no Tao, where is the future of the demon world? Bai Feng. Ziyan suddenly said sternly, you said so many treasonous words. Do you know that this is a capital crime? I know. Bai Feng knelt there quietly and said, when I said these words, I was already prepared to face death. Ziyan snorted coldly and said, I can tell you that my Tao is to devour and take revenge. I sent many Mara to kill in the mortal world in order to collect more demon chi and evil chi. The stronger the evil chi, the stronger my power. If my Mara can slaughter all the planes under the jurisdiction of the 6 worlds, my power will be enough to fight against the ancestor of the sky beyond heaven, or even surpass him. Don't you want to see the day when the demon world unifies the 3,000 worlds? Bai Feng murmured, if everything is built on killing, what's the use of unifying the worlds? Ha 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 ha, Ziyan sneered and looked coldly at Bai Feng, the holy king, and said, you disappoint me too much. Weakness will weaken your power. As the saying goes, wolves eat meat when they travel 1,000 miles, dogs eat shit when they travel 1,000 miles. Look at you now. You look so sanctimonious. Do you want to ascend to the Mahayana heavenly Tao? Bai Feng, I won't kill you, but I will keep you alive. I will let you see how I rely on killing and conquering to achieve the Tao of the demon world. I will let you see how I tear those hypocritical righteousness into pieces. Bai Feng. Chapter 1242. In the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed. The invasion and conquest of the demon realm was still ongoing, and the conferment of the Mahayana Heavenly Way Heavenly Sound Scroll was also ongoing. In 2 months, a total of 27 righteous gods appeared. Among them, 7 were righteous gods with titles and special abilities. Wei Chou, titled God of Justice, first-tier middle god, belonging to the Eastern Divine Realm. Lu Kuei, titled God of Contracts, second-tier middle god, belonging to the Eastern Divine Realm. Caroline, titled Goddess of Stars, third-tier upper god, belonging to the Western Divine Realm. Han Gu, titled God of Tides, second-tier middle god, belonging to the Eastern Divine Realm. Te Luo, titled God of Ice, first-tier middle god, belonging to the Northern Divine Realm. Xia Yan, titled God of Rain, third-tier upper god, belonging to the Eastern Divine Realm. Luo Wen, titled God of Thunder, second-tier upper god, belonging to the Southern Divine Realm. Among the 27 new righteous gods, God of Thunder, Goddess of Stars, and God of Rain were the strongest, followed by Wei Chou and Te Luo. Among them, Wei Chou had the ability to punish. However, the new righteous gods couldn't really change the situation of the divine realm. The demon realm was getting stronger and stronger. Ziyan absorbed the evil aura from the massacre, and his strength was getting stronger day by day. Coupled with the increasingly perfect god-destroying tower, there were few righteous gods in the world who could fight against Ziyan. Not a sea or a mountain, evergreen all year round. Swoosh. In the sky, a figure dragged a long trail of clouds as he flew to the ground. At the same time, he was dragging the corpse of a huge goshawk. This goshawk was ridiculously huge, weighing at least 500 kilograms. However, under the righteous god's dragging, it was like carrying a chicken. As the sound of grass being crushed was heard, the person landed on an empty space in the forest and dragged the goshawk to a straw shed in front of them. He said with respect, Your Highness, I've returned from hunting. This goshawk is very heavy, and it'll be enough for everyone to eat for 3 to 5 days. In the straw shed, Qi Nin walked out and said with a smile, Thanks for your hard work, Wei Chou. You don't have to be so polite. You don't have to call me Your Highness anymore. But, Wei Chou said helplessly, I'm already used to calling you that. I don't know when to call you that. Your Highness, please continue as usual. Before Lin General returns, let me call you that. Alright, I can't do anything to you. Qin Yin said, Send Eagle to the kitchen, let Big Brother Feng and the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor take care of it. Many of the trash gods are starving, they urgently need something to eat. Yes, this subordinate understands. Qin Yin also accompanied him over. The so-called kitchen was actually an illegal building under a towering tree. Once they saw Wei Chou dragging the giant eagle over, the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor smiled. He put away the knife in his hand and said, Feng Jixing, it's time to get to work. Come over and kill the eagle with me for the meat. You. God of Tides, Han Gu, summon a stream to wash the meat. Han Gu had a look of helplessness. I'm a god of tides, but this is all I can do. The 7 luminaries demon emperor glared and said, "What are you throwing a tantrum for? I'm the king of the gods of the eastern god realm, but I'm still here killing chickens for you bastards. Have I ever thrown a tantrum? Since you can't beat them, then just bear with it. Don't throw a tantrum, it's useless." Han Gu was speechless. "Yes, your highness, this subordinate will obey your teachings." The 7 luminaries demon emperor looked to the other side and said, "Where's fire god Zhao Ding? Let him come back and start cooking soup. Don't be idle all day, when it's time to work, you still have to work." "Yes, demon emperor." A person came out from the bushes, holding a spear in one hand and a few dead wild rabbits in the other. He laughed loudly. "Look, demon emperor, the prey in Mount Buhai is really fat. A wild rabbit weighs over 100 pounds. How is this a fucking wild rabbit? It's more like a wild bull." The 7 luminaries demon emperor stared and said, "Have you ever seen a wild bull that only weighs 100 pounds? That's not a wild bull, that's a calf. You're the most ignorant and unreliable fire god I've ever seen. Don't say anything else, hurry up and boil the water." Yes, a group of people sat around the giant eagle's corpse and began to pluck its feathers. This group of people seemed to be used to this kind of mortal life and were actually enjoying it. None of the goddesses made a move. Qin Yin, Xiao, and Tang Xiaoxi just gathered their skirts and sat on stone chairs to watch. Xiao said, "Demon Emperor, did you know that the Northern Heaven realm was attacked a few days ago and thousands of useless gods died?" "I know, it's just a small attack from the demon realm. As long as Zi Yan and the 9 underworlds demon king don't personally go, they won't be able to take down Blackrock City. We don't have to worry." "Looks like." Xiao pursed her red lips and said, "Looks like Zi Yan's attention is still on us. These days, his tens of millions of Mara have almost all been scattered, looking for traces of us all over the world. Will we be discovered here? Don't worry." The 7 luminaries demon emperor looked at the sky and said, "Do you see that light blue enchantment? That is the starry enchantment that I have painstakingly practiced for many years. Not to mention Mo Luo, even if Zi Yan flies over from the sky, he may not necessarily be able to see us on Mount C Mountain, let alone those Mo Luo. In front of the starry enchantment, the Mo Luo army is simply blind. Don't worry, by the way, you must preserve your northern heavenly will well. Otherwise, you will still be able to use the northern heavenly will to find us, and it will be enough to see through the mystery of the starry enchantment. Yes, the northern sky will has always been well hidden. Don't worry." The 7 luminaries demon emperor said as he plucked his feathers, "I don't know how that brat Yu is progressing. If he doesn't come back, we won't be able to counterattack. However, the tens of millions of Mara in the demon world aren't scary. The most scary ones are Zi Yan, 9 Nether, and that god-destroying tower. As long as we destroy these 3 great artifacts, we can return to Mount Deshang and rebuild the order of the Eastern God world." "Yes, not far away." Qin Yin moved her red lips and said, "Big brother, you will be back soon, I can feel it. That's for the best." The 7 luminaries demon emperor laughed. After secretly cultivating for so long, that brat must have reached a new level of realm. In addition to the power of the holy martial arts, Yu's position in the god world is really important. And, yes, Io, this eagle is actually a male, it actually has eggs. Demon world, empty space. There was nothing here, not even air. The ground was barren. There were no buildings or mountains. There was only nothingness. It was so nothingness that it made people feel a little flustered. Sha sha, amidst the sound of footsteps, 2 figures slowly walked forward. One was Zi Yan, and the other was the Netherworld Demon Monarch. "Senior 9 Nether, is there really the treasure you mentioned here?" "Yes." The Netherworld Demon Monarch nodded and said, "Your Majesty might not know this, but this is a treasure that all sovereigns want to obtain. Even in the sky beyond heaven, those old things would definitely want to take it for themselves." "What kind of treasure is it?" Ziyan squinted his eyes and smiled. 9 Nether Demon Emperor also smiled. An invincible army. Army? Ziyan was stunned. Doesn't the demon world already have Mara army? Are tens of millions of devils not enough? You just had to bring me to this plane of nothingness where even birds don't shit. You made me so flustered. 9 Nether Demon Emperor couldn't help but smile. Your Majesty, the Mahayana Heavenly Paths gods are like dumplings being dropped into a pot. Ice God, Contract God, Fire God, and so on are appearing one after another. Does your Majesty really want to wait until the Mahayana Heavenly Paths laws and gods are all sealed before you realize that the demon world's power is not enough to keep them in check? Only by obtaining this army can we be invincible. Alright, tell me honestly, what kind of army is this? An army of only 100 people. A look of yearning and hope appeared on the Netherworld Demon Monarch's face as he said, this army is invincible and indestructible. Even when facing the ancient god race, they could easily destroy them. Before they were sealed, they were the strongest army in the 6 realms. What kind of army is this? The Protoss army of the ancient demon realm, the ruler, also has another name, the Incubus Gladiators. Each of the 100 Incubus is an outstanding gladiator. Even if they were to face an upper-level god, they wouldn't be a problem. Moreover, among the 100 Incubus, there are 10 extremely tyrannical Incubus vanguards. Every one of them has strength that is second only to a first-class upper god. Oh. Ziyan's eyes turned cold. Aren't these rulers' army invincible? Can they be controlled? If not, I think it's better not to break the seal. Your Majesty, please rest assured. The method to break the seal is a drop of blood from the demon world's lord. Once they break the seal, they will immediately swear loyalty to your Majesty. What do you get out of this? Ziyan was a smart person. 9 Nether Demon Emperor laughed and said, of course it's great. After this old man helps your Majesty conquer the 6 realms, your Majesty, please promise me that you will be the ruler of the 6 realms. However, the demon world must be handed over to this old man. Your Majesty is the world ruler, and this old man is the demon world ruler. Ha ha ha, old man, what a good plan. We're here. The 9 Underworld's demon monarch pointed forward. There was a huge iron box. The surface of the iron box was filled with complex runes. He said, the rulers are sealed inside. Your Majesty, please undo the seal. Okay. Ziyan stepped on the iron box. His eyes were filled with a faint coldness. 9 Nether, don't play tricks. I don't care how strong these rulers are. If they don't follow my will, I will use the god-destroying pagoda to completely destroy them. Yes, your Majesty, please rest assured. Ziyan raised his finger. Plop. A drop of blood fell on the iron box. Immediately, the runes on the box shone brightly. Ziyan couldn't help but fly into the air. Boom! The huge iron box exploded. One by one, black figures stood up from the ground. Their eyes had a blood-red luster. Each of them had a cold gaze and killing intent. At the same time, that biting cold power made even Ziyan, the lord of the demon world, feel a great threat. Just like what 9 Nether said, these rulers and nightmare warriors' strength had reached a terrifying level. 9 Nether Demon Emperor's eyes were calm. Come and see your master. The group of nightmare warriors all knelt to Ziyan. Greetings, master. Ha ha ha, Ziyan laughed so hard that tears almost came out. Good, good, good. This is great. From now on, you are my royal army. If there is an enemy that needs to be eliminated, I will send you. Thank you, master. Let's go. Follow me back to the demon world and wait for my orders. Yes, master. The nightmare warriors flew up one by one, flying into the distance along with the purple flames. Only 10 people were left behind. These 10 people had gloomy eyes. They were the legendary Nightmare Vanguard. Each of them stood there very calmly, like stone statues. 9 Nether Demon Emperor smiled and said in a low voice, "Why aren't you listening and following master? Remember, Who is your true master? Once I give the order, you must kill anyone who dares to do so. Yes, master. Chapter 1243. Eternal Sword Domain, Bright Sword Forest. Petals fluttered in the air. The pear trees here had already begun to bear young fruits. In a few more months, they would be full of fruit. Under the pear tree, Lin Muyu and Elder Tian Nan brewed the last cup of tea. Do you really have to leave? Elder Tian Nan was reluctant to part with this junior who was both a disciple and a friend. Yes, I have to. I don't have much time. Lin Muyu smiled. Thank you, senior, for taking care of me for so many days. I am eternally grateful. What are you talking about? Elder Tian Nan was a little sad. At this moment, a whistling sound came from the sky. A person passed through the spatial wall and landed. It was the golden-robed lord of Dawn City, Meng Taifeng. He carried a huge metal box and said, "Martial God, I am here to send you off." Lin Muyu stood up and smiled. City Lord Meng, you are here too. We are friends. How could I not come? Meng Taifeng suddenly threw the heavy metal box on the ground. Boom! A cloud of dust flew into the air as he said, a total of 175 divine gems. Not a single one is missing. I even went to the main altar of the Hunters' Union to plunder some divine gems. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to get these 175. Lin Muyu was moved. You are not keeping any? What for? You can have them all. Meng Taifeng was a straightforward person. He smiled. If you want to be friends with me, that is enough. If you are not doing well in the 6 realms, you can come to the Eternal Sword Domain. We can drink and talk. What's wrong with that? Yes. Lin Muyu put all the radiant primordial gems into her cosmos sack. She then cupped her fists. It is getting late. I should leave. We will meet again if fate allows it. Brother, take care. Meng Taifeng said. Elder Tian Nan nodded with a smile. Take care. Lin Muyu signaled with her eyes. She took Ria and Zhang Wei with her. In the air, a ray of light bloomed. It was a revelation from Fuxi. Lin Muyu looked at the people on the ground. Farewell, everyone from the Eternal Sword Domain. Shi Han, Ru Yan, and the others bowed and said their goodbyes. Whoosh! Moving like a sword, Lin Muyu's body turned into a beam of cold light that pierced through the spatial wall. Suddenly, a deep passage of time appeared in front of her, leading to the 6 realms. This spatial wall was extremely thick, and it was far more difficult to break through than ordinary spatial cracks. However, Lin Muyu had easily opened it. One could imagine how powerful she was. Even Meng Taifeng, who was in the pear jar, could not help but frown and say, "Is this the power of AO sword tactics? I'm afraid, he's already the strongest person in the world." Old man Tian Nan remained silent and did not deny it. In the sky, the 3 streaks of light disappeared into the tunnel. Lin Muyu brought Ria and Chang Wei with her, heading straight for the 6 realms. In the blink of an eye, they had left the Eternal Sword Domain where they had stayed for several months. Eastern God Realm, Hall of Great Accomplishment. Ziyan sat on the Divine King's throne. He held on to the god-destroying pagoda and said, "Has everything been arranged?" "Everything has been arranged." Holy King Baifeng frowned and said, "If we really do this, is your majesty sure that the distress message you created will attract the gods of the Western Divine Realm?" "Of course." Ziyan squinted his eyes and smiled. All false illusions are but a thought in the mind. With my cultivation, I may not be able to sway Xian's will, but I can sway Eva. As long as Eva believes me, everything will be easy. Where is the only way from the Western Divine Realm to the Immortal Mountain? A demon general said, Changming Mountain, a spiritual mountain in a giant plain of the lower realms. It is very vast, about 100 miles long. As long as we lie in ambush on Changming Mountain, those battle angels will definitely not discover us. We will kill as many as they come. Alright, then we will lie in ambush on Changming Mountain. Your subordinate will arrange it right away. How many Mara do you need? Please tell us, Your Majesty. No. Ziyan raised his hand and said, we don't need just one Mara. This emperor will let Shi Yan and the other stubborn angels know the power of the ancient demon race. 9 underworlds, heed my command. Yes, Your Majesty. The 9 underworlds demon king nodded with a gloomy expression. Lead the nightmare warriors to Changming Mountain and lay in ambush. Wait for the battle angels of the Western Divine Realm to pass by. Remember, kill as many as they come. Don't let me down. Yes, Your Majesty, please rest assured. The nightmare warriors will definitely complete their mission. Go. Yes. The 9 underworlds demon king turned around, and the 100 nightmare warriors outside the palace followed him into the sky, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Holy King Baifeng wanted to say something, but stopped himself and stood there motionlessly. What do you want to say? Ziyan asked. Baifeng said, the 9 underworlds demon king has never been convinced by Your Majesty. Aren't Your Majesty worried that the 9 underworlds demon king will lead the nightmare warriors to cause trouble? Cause trouble? Ziyan smiled faintly and said, one attack from the god-destroying pagoda is enough to destroy half of his nightmare warriors. Why should I be afraid? Moreover, I'm sending him to eliminate the battle angels of the Western Divine Realm. It all depends on whether that old guy is willing to work for me. If he does his best, then everything will be fine. If he fails, then I will have a reason to punish him. Baifeng frowned and said, I hope so. In the Western Divine Realm, the battle angels were sitting quietly in the Radiant Temple. Eva closed her eyes, and her mind was calm. Suddenly, she felt a strand of spiritual will enter her mind, forming an image in her mind. It was the image of the immortal mountain, but the top of the mountain was covered with Mara's army. A figure was struggling under the siege of the winged Mara. It was Qin Yin. Even the East Flower sword had been partially destroyed. Faint golden blood flowed on her robe, making it look extremely terrifying. Eva suddenly opened her eyes, and her face was pale. What's wrong, Eva? Shi Yan asked with concern. I felt a terrifying scene. What terrifying scene? Sister, I saw Sheen just now. She sent a distress signal from the immortal mountain. Although it was only a weak spiritual will, I'm sure that it was Sheen. She is covered in wounds and needs our help. The immortal mountain? Shi Yan was shocked. Could it be that the gods of the Eastern Divine Realm are hiding in the immortal mountain? Yes, they have been discovered by the demon realm. We must send reinforcements, or else the Eastern Divine Realm will disappear completely. Shi Yan took a deep breath and frowned, not saying anything. Lady Shi Yan, shall we go? Terralyn said. Li Fei also said, yes, lady, what are we waiting for? Our strength is not enough to reverse the situation. Shi Yan looked at everyone calmly and said, even if we go, it will be useless. Not only will we not be able to save Sheen, but we will also be buried under the god-destroying tower. But as gods, we should first have humanity. If we watch the Eastern Divine Realm be destroyed and do nothing, what kind of gods are we? Terralyn was a little excited. Teray and the others also seemed very excited, and all of them were eager to try. Then let's send reinforcements. Shi Yan gritted her teeth as she said, pass down my order. All 31 old gods who can fly are to follow me into battle. The Western God Realm must protect the last bloodline of the Eastern God Realm even if they have to give it their all. Yes. Rays of light flew out of the Temple of Light one after another. This time, the Western Divine Realm almost turned out in full force. However, Shi Yan and Eva did not know that the seeds of danger had been planted in the distance. Heaven's vault, gold. The golden sky suddenly brightened, and the figures of Lin Muyu, Ria, and Zhang Wei landed on the rocks one after another. Miue could not help but laugh. little junior, you really came back safely? Yes. Lin Muyu nodded, then cupped her fists and said respectfully to Fushi, disciple Lin Muyu greets master. Good, good. Fushi's gaze was gentle as he looked at his proudest disciple. He smiled and said, looks like you've already cultivated the power of sword domain. You really didn't disappoint me. These two are? Oh, Lin Muyu said, this is Zhang Wei, a follower I took in the Eternal Sword Realm. This girl is Ria, a disciple I took in the Eternal Sword Realm. Ria, come and greet Grandmaster. Ria's eyes widened, and she quickly knelt down. Ria greets Grandmaster. Fushi beamed. Good, good, good. I did not think that the School of Great Void would have another disciple, and a talented one at that. You have finally started a family. I dare not disobey you, Grandmaster. I will first take Ria as my disciple, and only after you give me your permission can I take her in. I agree. Fushi raised his hand and smiled. Ria, from now on, you will be the only third-generation disciple in our school. I hope you will cultivate well, keep the lives of the 6 realms in mind, and fight for order. Yes, thank you, Grandmaster. Ria was very obedient, and Fushi liked her. Miue, Wanxing, and the others surrounded him, asking questions. But Fushi said, there is not much time left for you. You must return to the Eastern God Realm immediately. How is the Eastern God Realm, Master? The Hall of Great Accomplishment has fallen, and the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, Xiao, and the others are hiding in the Buhai Mountains, cultivating. But there is something more urgent that you must do. Please tell me, Master. The Lord of the Demon Realm, Ziyan, created an illusion to deceive Eva, making Eva think that the gods of the Eastern God Realm are trapped in the Immortal Mountain, so the gods of the Western God Realm are already on their way to reinforce the Immortal Mountain. But along the way, the 9 underworlds Demon Emperor has led 100 nightmare warriors in ambush on a spiritual mountain called the Eternal Brightness Mountain. You must immediately stop this disaster, and only you have the ability to do so. Although I can see through everything in the Divine Realm, Ziyan has already laid down a barrier, and my telekinesis cannot penetrate it to inform Shiyan, so you must go alone. Yes, Master. Lin Muyu nodded. Disciple will go to the Eternal Brightness Mountain now, Master, please tell me where it is. Okay. Fushi nodded, and his telekinesis pointed into the distance. Lin Muyu's mind immediately became clear, and she confirmed the specific location of the Eternal Brightness Mountain. She then raised her long sword and said, Ria, Changwei, follow me to the Eternal Brightness Mountain. Be quick. Yes, Master. Yes, Martial God. Chapter 1244. Everlasting Brightness Mountain was a spiritual mountain that spanned several hundred kilometers. It was one of the more majestic spiritual mountains in the Eastern God Realm. If it wasn't for the fact that this place was too close to the Western Divine Realm, the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor would have chosen Everlasting Brightness Mountain as his capital instead of Dishang Mountain. At this time, Everlasting Brightness Mountain was filled with hundreds of flowers and lush forests. Hidden in the deep grass were ancient demon gods who were holding their breaths, nightmares. They had completely concealed their auras and were lying there like inanimate objects. Adding on the barrier that the 9 Serenities Demon Emperor had set up, it was almost impossible for outsiders to discover what was going on here. The 10 nightmare vanguards knelt on the ground and surrounded the 9 Serenities Demon Emperor. The 9 Serenities Demon Emperor held a small white flower in his hand and smiled, life begins here and ends here. Once the flower blooms, it's a pity that all living beings fight and deceive each other, yet they don't know why the heavens do this. The nightmare vanguards didn't seem to understand what the 9 Serenities Demon Emperor was saying. Humph, the 9 Serenities Demon Emperor coldly laughed and asked, do you know what the meaning of life is? The nightmare vanguards, they had been asleep for many years and had long forgotten how to think. They only knew how to obey orders. A bunch of idiots. The 9 Serenities Demon Emperor faintly smiled and lightly exerted force with his fingers. Instantly, the small flower in his hand turned into dust and scattered with the wind. The meaning of life is to be destroyed. You idiots know nothing but killing. Do you know what eternal loneliness is? The Nightmare Vanguards, the 9 Serenities Demon Emperor felt like he couldn't continue this conversation and said, I've trapped myself in this lonely well. Others can't come in, and I don't want to go out. The only thing that can come in is my thousands of thoughts, while you are the rain in the sky and the wind beside my ears. The Nightmare Vanguards were dumbfounded. What a bunch of boring fellows. The 9 Serenities Demon Emperor looked at the Nightmare Vanguards in disdain and laid on the grass. If I hadn't become the Demon Emperor several tens of thousands of years ago, I would have been a poet by now. The Nightmare Vanguards were still dumbfounded, but one of them laughed. The 9 Serenities Demon Emperor turned and glanced at him. Keep laughing and I'll kill you. At this moment, presences appeared in 9 Serenities Demon Emperor's spirit sense. He immediately raised his arm and said, all Nightmare Vanguards, Nightmare Vanguard, Vanguard. In reality, they were still close to 100 kilometers away, but the battle angels were flying very quickly, and it would only take them a few minutes to cover 100 kilometers. However, 1 minute later, the Netherworld Demon Monarch sensed 3 more forces flying toward him from above. One of them was extremely strong, while the other 2 were slightly weaker. He frowned. Demon Monarch, there seems to be an accident. A Nightmare Lord Vanguard said. He had also sensed the presence of Lin Muyu, Ria, and the rest. Serenity's Ving's Demon Vanguards. The Netherworld Devil Monarch said, you 2 vanguards will lead 20 nightmare demons to kill the 3 people in the sky. The rest will follow me to kill the gods of the Western Divine Realm. As long as we destroy the Western Divine Realm, we will definitely be put in an important position. Once we have the chance, we will steal the God-destroying tower. Without the God-destroying tower, Ziyan is nothing but trash. Yes, Demon King. They're here. Attack. The 9 Underworld's Demon Monarch roared and rushed into the sky with purple flames all over his body. He raised his left palm and turned it into a heavenly demon that grasped the blazing angel and moon goddess Shiyen at the forefront of the formation. Shiyen reacted quickly and realized that she had been tricked. She shouted, "Be careful of the ambush." The light of the Chiwa sword soared and turned into a bright sword mark that split the energy of the 9 Serenities Demon Monarch's palm. The sword light fell straight down without dissipating and slashed the ground, causing a group of shapeshifters to scatter. Looking at the agile shapeshifters, Shiyen could not help but feel her scalp go numb. The opponents in front of her were definitely not easy to deal with. She hurriedly shouted, "Maintain a defensive formation, don't scatter. They are very strong. Rely on me and Laowa to defend against their attacks." The 2 blazing angels guarded the left and right sides of the formation. Dense sword rays burst out continuously, barely protecting the battle angels in the formation for a short period of time. Otherwise, if they were allowed to fight the Incubus warrior directly, most of the battle angels would be killed within 3 rounds. After all, the Incubus warrior's strength was equivalent to that of a mid-god. It was far from what Moro and those old gods could compare with. At the same time, there was a roar in the sky. Shiyen looked up. She could not see the battle, but she could feel a familiar aura. She couldn't help but smile and said, You is here. Einherjar Lin Muyu is here." The morale of the battle angels was boosted. This was what they lacked the most. When encountering an enemy that was much stronger than them, they needed the courage to fight. If they did not dare to fight, they could only wait for death. In the sky, the 2 Incubus vanguards danced in the air, carrying with them a piercing demonic flame. They launched a 2-on-1 attack on Lin Muyu while Ria and Zhang Wei watched from afar. This was not a battle they could participate in. The strength of the Incubus vanguards was far beyond their imagination. The strange-looking long-hilted weapon spun rapidly, unleashing a biting cold devil flame blade. The biting cold devil flame blade was as though it was scraping off the skin and bones, and if it was a common god, they would have been killed. However, Lin Muyu was no longer the same as before. Her palm struck out fiercely like steel and grabbed the hilt of the Nightmare Vanguard's weapon. She opened her right hand and aimed straight at the Nightmare Vanguard's heart. Ah! The Nightmare Warrior was shocked and realized that things were not good. Pung! Tens of thousands of sword chi exploded from his back, directly shredding his heart into pieces. He died in midair. His body was forcefully thrown down by Lin Muyu. With a turn of her body, the other Nightmare Beast Vanguard's strange blade descended from the sky. Lin Muyu could not help but smile. She raised her finger and activated the AO sword tactics. Sword auras circled around her and pushed away the sword of the Nightmare Warrior. At the same time, she pointed her finger, and thousands of sword auras pierced through the Nightmare Warrior and turned him into a bloody mess. It was as if he was shot by thousands of bullets. Die! Faced with the siege of 20 Nightmare Warriors, Lin Muyu gathered her chi in her elixir field and activated the AO sword tactics. A huge ball was formed around her, surrounded by surging sword auras. It was the Sword Realm, one of the mental cultivation methods of the AO sword tactics. For a moment, the 20 Nightmare Warriors kept hitting the ball, and they were either dead or injured. They fell one by one, howling in pain. Lin Muyu did not stay and shouted, "I'll go help Shi Yan. Chang Wei, Ria, clean up the mess." "Yes, master." Ria pulled out Star Trace, and her body swept through the air like a gust of wind. Her sharp sword chopped off the head of an injured incubus warrior. Before the other incubus warrior could get close, Ria quickly moved and spun in the air to avoid the attack. Star Trace followed up with a violent strike, crushing the enemy's heart with the power of first appearance of starlight. Chang Wei did not dare to get too close. He could only pick a Nightmare Warrior that had been beaten half to death by Lin Muyu and started fighting. For a moment, they were evenly matched. "I plead with the power of the god of summer. Give me the strongest power of heat." Tulei's long sword was covered in flames. He swept out with a loud bang. Bang! A Nightmare Lord Vanguard used a strange shield to defend perfectly. Apart from a fire mark on the shield, it was unscathed. Instead, he flipped his hand and threw out his spear. The spear carried a chilling demonic flame and had an unstoppable aura. Clang! Tulei used his long blade to parry the spear, but how could he block it? The spear pierced through his heart in an instant. His eyes were filled with confusion as he looked at the enemies in front of him. He didn't even know where these powerful enemies came from, nor did he know why he was humiliated to death. Sha sha sha, the body of an orthodox god dissipated like red sand in the wind. The god of summer Tulei, a first-tier intermediate god, had died in battle. Tulei, not far away, Terilyn's heart was shocked. There were still 7 opponents at the level of this Nightmare Vanguard, and there was an even more powerful 9 Serenities Demon Monarch. One could imagine how much pressure Shi Yan, who was resisting the 9 Serenities Demon Monarch and 4 Nightmare Vanguards alone, was under. In the surroundings, battle angels were constantly being killed. Screams could be heard one after another. Shi Yan was in an extremely difficult situation. Her arms felt as heavy as lead, which was caused by the strange demonic flames of the 9 Serenities Demon Monarch. In addition, the 4 Nightmare Vanguard's fierce attacks had almost exhausted Shi Yan's divine power. If it weren't for the powerful moon chill, she would have already been defeated. Die, moon goddess. 9th Underworld Demon Monarch cackled. His palms fell together, and his fingers clasped the Chiwa sword like an eagle's claw. The pervasive demonic flame rushed along the blade and quickly wrapped Shi Yan's body. Ah! Shi Yan was shocked. Lady Shi Yan. The crowd shouted, but no one had the strength to enter the battlefield. At this moment, a blood-red lightning suddenly descended from the sky and seeped into Shi Yan's arms. It continuously dispelled the demonic flames of the Abyss Demon King, making Shi Yan feel as if her body had been reborn. The moon chill suddenly erupted and pushed the Abyss Demon King back. Above her, the handsome boy asked with a lazy smile, "Sister Shi Yan, long time no see. Did you miss me?" Shi Yan also smiled, "I missed you to death. Don't say useless things. Help me." "Yes." Lin Muyu's holy martial power rampaged in the air, greatly increasing the battle strength of the battle angels. At the same time, he finally unsheathed the Xianyuan sword and shouted with a stern aura, "Abyss Demon King, eat my sword." Boom! The sword, which was as majestic as a mountain, fell from the sky. It was not a simple sword, but a sword that contained the supreme mental cultivation of the AO sword tactics. It seemed simple, but it made the Abyss Demon King's scalp tingle. However, this sword only contained 40% of the AO sword tactics power. It was a question whether to take this sword or not. It would be embarrassing if he didn't. If he did, he might lose his life. Chapter 1245. Ha ha ha. Good boy. Devil Monarch's eyes burst with a fierce light. The madness of the people in the devil realm was undoubtedly revealed. He suddenly opened his palms, and a brilliant demon flame domain appeared in his chest. After hundreds of thousands of years of cultivation, this old monster knew what kind of power to use to deal with what kind of power. Obviously, Lin Muyu's AO sword tactics could not be resisted by ordinary martial arts, so he did not hesitate to use his unique skill, Burning Nirvana. Like AO sword tactics, Burning Nirvana was also a very powerful domain martial art. In the bright starry domain, small demon flame balls kept exploding, but all the power was suppressed in one, waiting to reach the zero world to give Lin Muyu the strongest blow. A group of battle angels and nightmare warriors were watching, and their hearts seemed to stop. What would be the result of the fight between the two peerless powerhouses? Boom! The Xianyuan sword fell down with the field of the great AO sword technique and hit the burning nirvana of the demon monarch of the Nine Serenities. Suddenly, continuous explosions sounded one after another. The explosion in the small space in front of the chest of the demon monarch of the Nine Serenities was like the scene of the nirvana of the star universe. Although it was small, it was so powerful that people felt suffocated. Unable to defeat Devil Monarch with one blow, Lin Muyu did not hesitate. She suddenly retreated dozens of meters, holding the long sword on her right shoulder with both hands. The roaring domain flame erupted from the blade, and she rushed again like lightning. The second blow, 60% of the power of AO sword tactics. Damn it! Devil Monarch couldn't help cursing. His palms were round, and he increased the power of Burning Nirvana to more than 80%. Even the bones of his whole body made a clear violent sound. His body was about to be unable to bear the powerful impact of AO sword tactics. Boom! The second blow. At the moment when the two forces collided, the crowd almost couldn't hear anything. This was probably what the saying, "the loudest sound is all about." The strongest sound was so strong that the crowd couldn't hear anything. Lin Muyu's body was already wrapped in a thick layer of sword domain sphere, while the netherworld demon monarch's body was already on fire. Wow, he let out a miserable groan and spat out a mouthful of blood. However, he still tried his best to activate the burning nirvana flame and forcefully shook off Lin Muyu's second attack. Even so, everyone knew that the Nine Serenities Demon King had suffered a great loss in the second exchange. He spat out a mouthful of blood, but Lin Muyu seemed to be completely fine. There was only calmness and composure on his handsome face. Standing in the sky, Lin Muyu looked at Abysmal Demon Monarch proudly. Without saying a word, she put her left index finger and middle finger together and casually pointed in the air. However, this finger was not simple. With 70% of the power of the mighty AO sword tactics, it turned into a huge sword chi that fell from the sky and directly hit the burning nirvana domain that Abysmal Demon Monarch had not fully condensed. Pooh! Pfft! This time, not only did he cough up blood, but the netherworld demon lord's chest was also pierced by the sword chi, and his internal organs could be seen. His injuries could not be any worse. The great pain made the old monster howl. While struggling to retreat, he roared, "Nightmares, kill this person, kill for me." Several nightmare vanguards who had been fighting with Eva and Shiyen immediately rushed over. Lin Muyu did not say anything more. Tens of thousands of sword chi whirled around her, turning into a rainbow light and piercing through two nightmare vanguards. Suddenly, the bodies of two nightmare vanguards were smashed into pieces. They had died in the battle. The moment the sword chi suddenly exploded, countless sword chi raged. Suddenly, more than 10 nightmare warriors were killed. At this time, Lin Muyu seemed to have turned into a god of war. No one could resist his attack. Obviously, even the old monster abysmal demon monarch had been defeated, let alone the nightmare warriors. Bastard, bastard, the netherworld demon monarch flew quickly on the surface of Changming Mountain and disappeared in the jungle in the blink of an eye. At this time, he was full of anger. Originally, he could have used the Nightmare Army to destroy the whole Western Divine Realm and gain the ultimate trust of Ziyan. However, he suffered such a crushing defeat. An Einherjar appeared out of nowhere, and it was his Nightmare Army that was destroyed. In the air, the Nightmare Warriors obeyed their master's order and still attacked relentlessly. However, Shiyan, Eva, and Li Fei had been strengthened by the power of holy martial arts, and their strength had increased greatly. Facing the Nightmare Warriors, they were not completely at a disadvantage, especially Shiyan, who had killed many nightmares with the Chiwa sword. Of course, the one who killed the most was Lin Muyu. Her sword chi was in the air, and the AO sword skill was so powerful that the Nightmare Warriors were all killed in the blink of an eye. Among the 10 Nightmare Warriors, only one was killed by Shiyan and Eva. The other 9 were all killed by Lin Muyu's AO sword skill. As for the Nightmare Warriors, they were barely alive and were not far from death. The battle was very short. In less than 10 minutes, the battle was over. 100 Nightmare Warriors were all killed, and only the Netherworld Demon Monarch escaped. Looking down at the ground, there were sword chi everywhere on Spirited Mountain. Most of them were the masterpieces of Lin Muyu, and some were caused by the attacks of Seraphim and Battle Angels. The corpses of the Nightmare Warriors and Nightmare Warriors were scattered in the jungle. In addition, there were also the corpses of some Battle Angels and old deities, as well as Summer God Teray, who had turned into ashes. Although they won, there was no smile on the faces of Shiyan, Eva, and others. No one knew if there were more nightmare armies in the demon realm, but the old deities were getting fewer and fewer. Russell, Shiyan landed and knelt beside a female Battle Angel. She gently picked up her corpse and said, "Retrieve the corpses of your companions and return to the Western Divine Realm." "Yes, Madam Shiyan." Everyone picked up the corpses of their companions one by one. At a glance, more than 10 Battle Angels had died. Lin Muyu frowned. "Sister Shiyan, my condolences, I'm fine." Shiyan shook her head and said, It's all thanks to your timely arrival. Otherwise, I'm afraid that the entire Western Divine Realm would have been annihilated here today. That despicable Ziyan actually used an illusion to lure us and set up an ambush along the way." Lin Muyu said, "Let's go. I'll escort you back to the Western Divine Realm." Okay. In the cemetery behind the Temple of Light in the Western Divine Realm, a hasty funeral was held in the afternoon. Lin Muyu also attended the funeral. After all, the Western Divine Realm was like another home for her. Now that the 4 Divine Realms had formed an alliance against the Demon Realm, everyone was on the same side. It started to rain. Only a few people held up umbrellas. The corridor leading from the cemetery to the Temple of Light was a little slippery, but Shiyan still walked on foot. She wore a clean and elegant white blazing angel cloak, which complemented her beautiful figure and elegant face. As she walked, she said to Lin Muyu beside her, You really obtained a different kind of power after going to the Eternal Sword Domain." "Yes." Lin Muyu said, "This power is called the Proud Sword Technique. It's very strong, but also very difficult to control. The Proud Sword Technique is a pure state of mind. Once you can't control it, you'll be controlled by arrogance and killing. That's equivalent to falling into the demonic path." "Is that so?" Shiyan smiled slightly. "I thought you could teach the Western Divine Realm a thing or two about this power of the Sword Domain." Lin Muyu was a little embarrassed. "I didn't say that I can't teach it to others. I just need to be moderate. If Sister Shiyan wants to learn it, I'll give it to you." With Sister Xian's state of mind, it won't be a problem to cultivate it to 70 or 80%. Really? Really? Good. Lin Muyu paused, then said, but Sister Xian, you must promise not to teach it to others. The proud sword technique can create a martial god, but it can also create a killing god. People who don't have a strong enough mind can never cultivate the proud sword technique. Well, I know. Let's go. There are still many things waiting for us to deal with. Oh, there's one more thing. What is it? I have some gifts to give to the Western Divine Realm. Before I left, I heard from Xiao Yin that it's something you need urgently. What is it? Eva also tilted her head and asked. Raw light stones, 175 raw light stones. Ah. Xian and Eva were both shocked. At night, in the Temple of Light, a group of battle angels offered sacrifices to the dead. Under the faint candlelight of the side hall, Xian held a simplified pen and wrote names on the paper. This was what she had to do urgently. She selected 175 powerful useless gods from the major families and then used the raw light stones to turn them into old gods and battle angels. This was the advantage of the Western Divine Realm, and also the only thing they could rely on. Lin Muyu sat on a stone bed a few meters in front of Xian. He sat cross-legged, surrounded by blood-colored lightning. That was the power of the holy martial arts. His spiritual thoughts had already flown beyond the clouds to search for the whereabouts of the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, and the other gods from the Eastern Divine Realm. His spiritual energy flew in the air, but it seemed like there was a huge net in the air. Every time Lin Muyu tried to break through, he would be knocked back by the pain all over his body. Not long after, his forehead was covered in sweat. It was even impossible to contact Jin Shang's master, Fushi. What is that? He asked. Xian didn't even raise her head. She was still writing names on the paper, but she said, enchantment. Ziyan used the power of the god-destroying tower to create a super-strong enchantment. It is this enchantment that causes the 4 divine realms to be unable to communicate with each other at present. Why? Even with your cultivation, you can't break through this barrier? I can, but the price will be very high. It might hurt my spiritual senses. Then don't try. Your strength must be preserved. Not a single bit of damage is allowed. Okay. Lin Muyu said, Sister Xian, starting tomorrow, I will go out to search for the whereabouts of Xiao Yin and the others. Ria and Zhang Wei will stay with you for now. Teach Ria some martial arts of the Western Divine Realm and urge her to continue cultivating. Okay. Xian smiled happily. I really like this female disciple of yours. Don't worry, I will protect her. Thank you. Chapter 1246. In the Great Accomplishment Mountain, a battered and exhausted figure fell into the Great Accomplishment Palace. It was the injured 9th Serenity Demon King. Wah, as soon as he landed, he spat out a mouthful of stinking demonic blood. The holy king's faces turned pale with fright. None of them expected that an old monster would be injured. Ziyan squinted his eyes and asked, Senior 9th Serenity, what happened to you? Annihilated, annihilated, what annihilated? The nightmare army was annihilated. The 9th Serenity Demon King trembled slightly as he said, Lin Muyu. Martial God Lin Muyu is back, with peerless power. What, Lin Muyu is back? Ziyan looked at him proudly, Senior, look at me while talking. What happened? Didn't you go to intercept Xian, Eva, and the others? Yes, but Lin Muyu suddenly appeared, killed my vanguards, and defeated me. The 9th Serenity Demon King did not hide anything and said, Lin Muyu is too strong. He defeated me in 3 moves, he is too strong, 3 moves. Sage ruler White Wind couldn't help but suck in a cold breath. How is this possible? Demon King, you are even stronger than a first-class superior god. Even Xian may not be your match, right? I don't know. The Netherworld Demon Monarch shook his head like he was crazy. I don't know why, but he's really too strong. I'm not his opponent. Lin Muyu, he's grasped the power of a heaven domain, an undefeatable power. Enough. Ziyan's eyes were cold as he said, Fire Jade Sage Monarch, Dragon Sparrow Sage Monarch, the two of you will support the demonic monarch to recuperate and rest. Senior, you should rest well. No matter how strong Lin Muyu is, can he win against my god-destroying pagoda? The Netherworld demonic king was helped down by two holy king. The holy king Bai Feng said, Your Majesty, since even the 9 underworlds demon king was defeated, it proves that Lin Muyu's cultivation is indeed not to be underestimated. We must be careful. You must be very happy that Lin Muyu has returned in such a powerful state, right? This is the balance you want. Ziyan sneered. Holy King Bai Feng looked helpless. Your Majesty, I didn't mean that. Stop it. Ziyan took a deep breath. No matter how strong Lin Muyu is, I will use the perfect god-exterminating pagoda to destroy him. No matter how strong he is, he will die under the god-exterminating pagoda. Don't worry. Your Majesty, are you planning to use the god-exterminating tower to kill him? Long distance? Ziyan sneered, I'm not that stupid. I can't even kill the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, Tang Xiaoxi, and Qin Yin from a long distance, not to mention the stronger Lin Muyu. Even if I want to attack, I will definitely attack from a distance. He won't even have the chance to dodge or resist. At this moment, a group of demon generals walked in. They were the leaders who were out patrolling. Did you find anything? Ziyan looked at them coldly. No, Your Majesty. A bunch of trash. The group of demon generals' faces turned ugly. One of them walked forward and knelt down. Your Majesty, I have a small discovery. Oh. Speak. Yesterday, when I was patrolling at the border of the eastern and northern celestial realms, I suddenly felt a trace of demon god's aura. However, it was only for a moment. After that, I couldn't feel it anymore. Demon god's aura? What do you mean? Ziyan's eyes turned cold. Your Majesty, you should also know that all the demon gods who ascended from the mortal realm have already gone to the Fekta temple to register. Only one person did not go, and that is the demon god who ascended from the celestial pole continent, Nuslik. This woman has never been to the demon realm after she obtained her demon body. I have checked and found out that I was the only demon realm force that was patrolling that area yesterday. Therefore, I determined that Nuslik must be there. Since she is there, the gods of the eastern celestial realm might be hiding there. Where exactly is it? Not Haishan. Ha 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 ha. Ziyan couldn't help but laugh. 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, Xiao, you cowards have been hiding for so long. It's time for you to come out and take a breather. Someone, summon the illusory pool. Yes, Your Majesty. The stone floor in the center of the hall slowly dispersed, revealing the misty illusory pool below. Ziyan waved his hand and the mist above the illusory pool dispersed, revealing the scene of the not Haishan area that he wanted to see. However, it was a dense jungle and there was nothing worth being happy about. The group of Holy King and Demon Generals were silent, but there was disappointment on their faces. However, Ziyan wasn't the same. He sneered. Humph. The god-destroying pagoda in his hands suddenly spun rapidly. Layers of the pagoda rotated continuously, bringing with it the power of crimson demon flames. Suddenly, a strong beam of light shot into the distance. Not long after, a beam of light shot down from the sky in the image in the illusory pool. Immediately, the illusion of the jungle began to change. In the blink of an eye, the dense jungle became open land, and a blurry figure appeared. Found it. Ziyan quickly retracted the energy of the god-destroying pagoda and smiled. Finally found it. Send the order immediately, gather the army of the demon realm and head to the not Haishan area tomorrow morning to exterminate the remnants of the eastern celestial realm. Yes. At dawn, there was silence in the light temple. Shi Yan was still selecting the list. Rustle, amidst the footsteps, Eva walked in and sat on the windowsill. She said, "Yu is gone. He really can't wait until dawn." Shi Yan smiled faintly. "But this is also expected. He doesn't want to wait too long." "Yes, Yu doesn't want to wait too long." Eva said, "Actually, it's really thanks to this kid. Otherwise, I'm afraid we can't sit here and talk now." "Ah, you passed the mental cultivation method of AO sword tactics to you?" "Yes, but I don't have time to practice now. You are now the ruler of the Western Heaven realm. Naturally, you don't have time to practice. Teach me, I will practice." "Bah, in your dreams. Wait until I master it." "Humph, is there any news from the demon realm?" "I don't know. Our telekinesis channels are all blocked. We can't see what's happening in the distance." "Don't worry so much." Shi Yan glanced at the list next to her and said, "You help me select the last few names on the list, and then start summoning them to the Light Temple. As long as these more than 100 angels regain the power of blessing, our Western Divine Realm can form a dominant force that can't be ignored. Even if we encounter the main force of the demon realm, we will have the power to fight." Eva picked up the list, glanced at it and said, "You really don't plan to practice the AO sword tactics?" "No, I've been creating the 8th slash of Shi Yan recently." "The 8th slash?" Eva stuck out her tongue. "It looks so powerful." "How powerful is it? What's its name?" "In terms of power, although it is not as overbearing as the AO sword tactics, it is not much inferior. As for the name, I haven't thought of it yet." Shi Yan glanced at Yuan and said with a smile, "How about calling it Chop His Father's Mashed Pieces?" Eva was speechless. "As long as you're happy." "Did you leave out Yuan Shui's family in this list?" "They have a few great perfection deities in their family. They can join us." "Yeah, I really forgot." "You can add them." "Okay." On a spiritual mountain less than 15 kilometers away from the Hall of Great Accomplishment, dark clouds gathered in the sky. Groups of winged Mara flew past, as if they were gathering. In the clouds, there was one person who was silent. It was Lin Muyu. His aura had almost been reduced to zero, so those winged Mara obviously could not sense him. However, this did not mean that the winged Mara could not discover him. There was a boom from the side, and one of the winged Mara directly crashed into Lin Muyu's arms. F***CK. He snorted, hugged the winged Mara, and twisted his neck. However, a group of winged Mara around him hurriedly flapped their wings and besieged him. There were about 20 of them. Lin Muyu acted quickly. The AO sword tactics was suddenly activated, and a group of Mara was turned into minced meat in an instant. Then, he concealed his aura and hid in the clouds again. In the distance, groups of Mara were galloping in the direction of Mount Dashang. What's going on? He frowned and said to himself, did Ziyan discover the whereabouts of Shao Yin and the others? He must be right. If he did not discover the whereabouts of the eastern deities, Ziyan would not have mobilized so many people. However, Lin Muyu could not sense where Qin Yin and the others were. What should he do? He only thought for 3 seconds and came up with a plan. Then, he could only blend into the circle of Mara and attack together with Ziyan. Once he found Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi, he would immediately counterattack. Staring into the distance, he began to look for the target. After nearly 10 minutes, the target finally appeared. It was a demon general riding a dragon tiger and holding a big hammer in his hand. He looked very powerful. His body was covered by a cloak, and even his face could not be seen clearly. However, it was obvious that he was a big guy with a fierce face, thick eyebrows, and big eyes. He was lost, so he urged the dragon tiger to rush into the clouds. Pitter-patter. After a round of beating, the body of the demon general was thrown down the clouds, and Lin Muyu took his place. She put on the bulky armor and cloak, carried the thick and heavy war hammer, and mounted the dragon tiger. The dragon tiger was covered with dragon armor and mixed fur, and its head was a fierce tiger. With a roar, it turned around and bit Lin Muyu's arm. How could she do that? Bang! With a light punch, the head of the dragon tiger was smashed into pieces. F***ck, it's so weak. Lin Muyu was stunned. She quickly raised her hand and shouted, "Come out, Acatosaurus." Roar roar. The Acatosaurus came out from the alternate dimension, and it looked even more majestic. Its head was very ferocious, and it had the aura of a dragon king. It rubbed its arms against Lin Muyu. "Can you transform?" Lin Muyu carried the dragon tiger's corpse and said, "Can I turn into this?" The Acatosaurus did not say a word. It went forward and bit off the head of the dragon tiger, chewed it, and let out a cry. Its body began to transform, and in the blink of an eye, it turned into a dragon tiger. I knew it. Lin Muyu stepped on the dragon tiger's corpse and threw it away. The perfect form of the dragon race was that they could transform into anything, even humans. However, looking at the appearance of the Acatosaurus, it seemed like it could transform into anything it ate. Lin Muyu could not help but sigh, and the image of the Acatosaurus turning into a pile of shit appeared in her mind. Chapter 1247. Gather and prepare to attack. The horn of the demon realm sounded on Mount Deshang. In the distance, Ziyan held the god of destruction in his hand and led the injured demon king of 9 serenities and a group of holy king-level leaders of the demon realm to inspect the 3 armies. Countless Mara were hovering in the air. Ziyan's voice was very loud and clear. He said, "We have found the whereabouts of the remnants of the Eastern Divine Realm. Attack with me and annihilate them completely. Long live the Emperor! Long live the Emperor!" A group of demon generals raised their weapons and roared fanatically. Among them, the demon general that Lin Muyu incarnated also raised his warhammer, but he didn't say, "Long live the Emperor." He just joined in the commotion. At the same time, he had to take care of the dragon and tiger transformed by Acatosaurus to prevent it from eating the mounts of other demon generals in one bite. The dark clouds rolled away. Ziyan, 9 serenities, Bai Feng, and others had already flown away from Mount Deshang, followed by the dense Mara army. Lin Muyu didn't fall behind. She urged Acatosaurus to follow closely behind Ziyan and others. At the closest, it was less than 100 meters away from Ziyan. Tens of millions of demon army were moving in the sky like a huge black hole. It was very scary, and Lin Muyu was just a small part of it. "Howl!" Acatosaurus roared, almost attracting the attention of the demon generals. Lin Muyu hurriedly restrained it. At the same time, she frowned. If she took action at this time, she could prevent Ziyan from finding Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, and others. But it also meant that Lin Muyu had to fight 1 against 10 million. This was not a joke. Even if she had mastered the AO sword tactics and the power of holy martial arts, she couldn't be so arrogant. After all, the god-destroying tower could not be underestimated, and the divine power would eventually be exhausted. But if she found the gods of the Eastern Divine Realm and used the power of holy martial arts to bless the 7 luminaries demon emperor, Xiao, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, and others, it would be completely different. At that time, no matter how many troops Mara had, there was nothing to fear. So, Lin Muyu had been holding back, quietly driving Acatosaurus to fly to the depths of the divine realm with Ziyan, the demon monarch of 9 serenities, and others. In the sky, layers of clouds were constantly intertwining. Ziyan and others flew farther and farther away. They were thousands of meters away, but a few holy king infiltrated the crowd of Mara's army, as if to inspect them. Not far away, the slim female holy king was Bai Feng. Although Lin Muyu didn't know Bai Feng, she always felt that there was something special about this holy king. As for how special it was probably because she was very beautiful. Bai Feng's eyes swept over more than 100 demon generals beside Lin Muyu, and finally flew to Lin Muyu's side. She gently touched the head of Acatosaurus with her palm. Howl! Acatosaurus bared its fangs. Lin Muyu hurriedly covered its back with her palm, ordering it not to act rashly. Otherwise, if more than 100 demon generals attack together, it would be very troublesome. This dragon tiger doesn't seem to be completely tamed, right? Bai Feng's bright eyes looked at Lin Muyu, and flew forward with her. Lin Muyu thought for a moment, and said, yes, but it's almost done, Your Excellency Holy King. Your voice. Bai Feng was a little hesitant, and said, your voice isn't as rough and hoarse as those demon generals. You're also very special, and your figure is far less sturdy than those of other demon generals. Lin Muyu said, when Ancestor Emperor Zi Yan was also a demon general, his figure was similar to mine. Hee, that's true. Bai Feng flew forward with great interest, and sat on the dragon's back beside Lin Muyu, and asked, can I give you a ride? As long as Your Excellency Holy King is willing. Lin Muyu was very perturbed. She always felt that Holy King Bai Feng had noticed something, but she was not sure. With Bai Feng's strength, once he noticed something wrong, he should immediately take action. Turning around, Bai Feng's feet were bathed in the clouds, and he seemed to be very leisurely. Bai Feng, Holy King, you. Lin Muyu wanted to say something but stopped. She wanted to ask if he had seen through her. But Bai Feng smiled faintly and said, there's no need to ask. There's no problem with your weapon, mount, and attire. There are tens of thousands of demon generals in the demon realm, and there are even octagonal ones, not to mention yours. But your only flaw is that you actually chatted with me. You don't know how much fear the demon generals have for the Holy King, let alone me, the Holy King. Unknowingly, Lin Muyu had already silently activated the AO sword tactics, and her clothes slowly began to flutter. Don't make a move. Bai Feng said calmly, once you make a move, you will really be exposed. I only want to ask you one question. Go ahead. Lin Muyu was a little helpless. Her strength was far above her, but now it seemed that she was being controlled by her. Bai Feng smiled and said, are you the person who injured the 9 Nether Demon King? Yes. Then what do you want to do by sneaking into the demon realm army this time? Defeat you all. Lin Muyu did not hide and said, and also to revitalize the Eastern Divine Realm. Then, I wish you success. Bai Feng moved his butt away from the dragon's back and floated in the air. He said, don't be seen through early, and don't be killed early. The God-destroying tower is very powerful now, perhaps beyond your imagination. You must be careful when dealing with it. I'm leaving. With that, Bai Feng turned and flew away. Lin Muyu frowned and did not know what to say. The hundreds of demon generals at the side also came closer. All of them were very silent and did not say anything, as if everything was natural. Perhaps to them, it was none of their business that Bai Feng, the Holy King, and this demon general talked so much. As the saying went, if it was none of their business, it was their way of doing things. In the Buhai Mountain, the people of the Eastern Divine Realm in the dense forest did not know that danger was approaching. It was not until the Demon Realm army was within 1,000 miles that they realized it, and the first person to realize it was Chu Yao. She woke up from her dream and found Xiao and Qin Yin. Sister Chu Yao's prophecy is definitely not wrong. Qin Yin stood in the field filled with fragrant grass and said with certainty, we should have been prepared. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor took a deep breath and said, actually, I also have a bad feeling. It seems that the demon realm has found us. I said that the beam of light yesterday was a bit strange, and now it seems that it is indeed the demon realm's way of investigating us. Don't say anything else, order everyone to be on guard and prepare for battle. We can't escape, so we can only fight to the death with them. Xiao frowned and said, with our current strength, we have no chance of winning. What should we do? We have to fight even if we don't have a chance of winning. Now we can only hope that Shi Yan will receive the news and come to help. Let's hope so. Dozens of meters away, Feng Jixing and Wei Chou walked over with their weapons in hand. They were even wearing the armor of the great Qin Empire. They didn't have the time to change into anything else. The Eastern God world was so poor and dejected that they didn't have any armor for them to change into. They could only make do with it. Another battle? Feng Jixing asked. Tang Xiaoxi nodded and said, "The demon realm has found us. These demon realm people really don't know when to give up." Feng Jixing gritted his teeth and pressed his hand on the hilt of his sword and said, "Demon Emperor, do you have a plan for how we fight? If we stubbornly defend here, we will be bombarded by them from above. I'm afraid we won't be able to resist at all." The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor asked, "Wind God, what plan do you have?" "Here, over there." Feng Jixing pointed into the distance. There was a lone peak that was about 2,000 meters tall. He said, "We can hide our main force on that mountain and use a small portion of the gods as bait. This way, when the demon world's army attacks the mountain, the main force on the mountain can launch an attack from a high vantage point. This way, we won't lose the terrain advantage." "Okay, let's do that." The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor knew that Feng Jixing had been fighting wars since he was a mortal, and although he was the Demon Emperor, he was only good at one-on-one battles. At this time, the enemy was strong and he was weak, so it was better to use more tricks. After the time it took for a stick of incense to burn, the quiet Buhai mountains and plains calmed down again. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, Xiao, and Chu Chu led some useless gods to stay in the jungle, while Feng Jixing, Wei Chou, Qin Yin, and other righteous gods who mainly attacked hid on the solitary peak, waiting for a counterattack from above. "We're almost there." The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor took a deep breath and looked at the sky calmly. He knew that this would be a fierce battle, but as long as they could deal with the god-destroying tower, there was still hope for the eastern celestial world. There were a limited number of powerful people in the demon realm, which were Zi Yan, Abyss Demon Monarch, and Jiao Ju Holy Emperor. As for Bai Feng and the others, they were not worth mentioning. "They're here." Sun Feng held his long sword, his face a little pale. The sky that was originally surrounded by auspicious clouds was covered by purple clouds in the blink of an eye. The clouds rolled over, and the clouds were filled with shrill cries. It was Mara's army. Above the clouds, Zi Yan, Abyss Demon Monarch, and other leaders of the demon realm stepped on the air. Looking at the people on the ground, Zi Yan laughed and said sternly, "7 luminaries Demon Emperor, you have nowhere to run this time, right?" The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor held Panga's axe and raised his head proudly. "I, your father, have no intention of running away. Come on, I can't hold back my killing intent anymore." Although he said this, Xiao's eyes were filled with worry. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor's pride had not fully recovered. It had only recovered to about 70%, but the power of the god-destroying tower was almost perfect. This time, if the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor used his pride to resist the power of the god-destroying tower, he might not be able to escape death. "All right, I'll do as you wish." The corners of Zi Yan's mouth curled up into a sinister smile. "Brats from the demon world, charge. Kill them all. 9 Nether Senior, attack with me, all right?" 9 Nether's injuries had not fully recovered, but he could only smile bitterly and nod. "Yes, your majesty." However, just as the demon realm army was about to fight, a wang sound was heard. A pitch-black object smashed from behind and directly hit the back of Zi Yan's head. Dang! It was a war hammer, and it bounced off Zi Yan's head. However, Zi Yan's face had already turned green. He suddenly turned around and roared, "Which bastard can't control himself? Traitor, come out and accept your death." In the neat formation of demon generals, the young man riding on Dragon Tiger slowly urged Dragon Tiger to fly forward. He raised his head and lifted his cloak, revealing a handsome and unruly face. He had a lazy smile on his face. "I smashed it. What can you do to me?" "Brother, you." On the mountain peak, Qin Yin was so excited that she almost cried. Tang Xiaoxi was also stunned. "Mu. Mu is back." On the ground, the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor heaved a sigh of relief. He smiled weakly. "We won this battle." Chapter 1248. "It's you." Jiao Demon Monarch's face instantly turned livid. Lin Muyu's appearance had already cast a shadow on his heart. It was this kid who defeated him in 3 moves. It's you. Ziyan repeated Jiuyo Demon Monarch's words. His eyes were full of resentment as he said, "What are you waiting for? This person is the strongest martial deity among the upright deities. Kill him, kill him." For a moment, the purple clouds in the sky fell like a tsunami. That was the army of thousands of Mara. Lin Muyu sat motionlessly on the dragon's back. He gently raised his left hand, and a bunch of golden light floated in his palm. In the blink of an eye, his back bloomed with a bright light and suddenly became bigger. It was like the shell of an ancient dragon turtle, which was hundreds of meters in radius. The outside of the shell was full of tiny golden awns. Those were the sword chi of Ao's sword tactics. Swoosh, 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 the sword chi continued to fly out, piercing through the group of Maras as if he had unleashed tens of thousands of sword kinesis technique in an instant. In the blink of an eye, the sky was filled with a rain of blood. The first wave of Maras that charged at Lin Muyu had all been killed, while he himself was unharmed. He took a deep breath and muttered to himself, "The Radiance Armor technique is still very powerful." The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, Xiao, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, Feng Jixing, and others were all stunned. This was not the Lin Muyu they knew before. At this moment, Lin Muyu was simply too strong. Bastard! Ziyan roared, and the god-destroying tower in his hand shone brightly. It was about to be launched. However, Lin Muyu did not give him a chance to show his power. He raised his finger, and suddenly, a heavenly light penetrated the clouds and went straight to Ziyan. It was the sword intent power of Ao's sword tactics. What? Ziyan let out a low roar, raised his arm and swept it horizontally. Boom! Sparks rose in the air and Lin Muyu's sword chi was forcefully slapped away. However, Ziyan wasn't any better off. His arm was red and numb from the impact. If he didn't rely on the god-destroying pagoda and only relied on his own strength to fight against Lin Muyu, Ziyan felt that he would probably end up like the 9 underworlds demon monarch within 10 moves. What are you waiting for? Ziyan roared, "Kill them. All of you, kill them all. Demon king of the 9 underworlds, follow me to deal with the gods of the eastern god realm." Yes. Countless saint kings and demon generals raised their weapons, and with demonic flames, they turned into beams of fiery light and charged towards the ground. Finally, a full-scale battle had begun, and it was no longer just one-on-one duels. In the air, countless Mara surrounded Lin Muyu. Obviously, the demon world wanted to use their advantage in numbers to entangle her and get rid of the other righteous gods first. Naturally, Lin Muyu would not let them have their way. She brought her palms together before her chest and formed a seal. In an instant, countless sword chis flew out from her body and shot towards the ground. Along the way, countless demonic luos were killed by the sword chis. There was no one who could stop her. She broke through the blockade like a golden fireball. Even the demonic generals were no different from the demonic luos. Their bodies were shattered just like that. On the ground, there were already tens of thousands of Mara who had landed and were fighting with the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor and the others. On the lone peak, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi and the others carried raging flames and light as they descended. In the blink of an eye, it became a chaotic battle. Feng Jixing stood in the forest on the lone peak. He raised his palms and roared, "Wind manipulation." Hundreds of meters above the ground, a storm swirled and tore rows of Mara into pieces. At the same time, a ray of light descended from the sky and pierced through the storm that Feng Jixing had summoned. Even Lin Muyu, who was holding a sword will, was startled. He couldn't help but smile in surprise. "Brother Feng, you've ascended?" Feng Jixing laughed. "That's right. Let's fight first." Shwa. A cold light flashed past, and a demon general behind Lin Muyu was pierced through the heart. Wei Chou also appeared, holding the Ho-I bow. He smiled and said, "Lord, there's still me." Good, 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 Lin Muyu was overjoyed. Her palms trembled as a powerful blood-red lightning exploded in the air like a storm. The power of Saint's martial arts is a power that only kind-hearted people can wield, so Lin Muyu activated it without hesitation. People from the demon realm can't wield this power. Instead, Feng Jixing, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, the 7 luminaries demon emperor and the others' potential were greatly stimulated, becoming even more powerful and invincible. On the ground, a flame exploded. This was the 9 Serenities demon king's attack on Xiao. His demonic flame was much stronger than other demons. His several 100,000 years of cultivation was extremely pure. Even though his wounds haven't fully healed yet, he was still able to fight evenly with impartial goddess Xiao. Boom! The power of the domain fluctuated in the air. Lin Muyu swooped down with a sword will in her hand and shouted in a low voice, "I didn't kill you yesterday, yet you still dare to come?" What? The 9 Serenities demon king trembled and felt a chill on his head. It was an attack from Lin Muyu, a familiar attack. Pung! It was difficult for people who were locked by the sword domain of the AO sword tactics to escape. The 9 Serenities demon king exhausted all his strength but couldn't break free from the shackles of the sword domain. He was directly hit by the sword. He exploded into pieces. This old monster from the depths of the demon realm never thought that he would end up like this. Xiao was slightly shocked. She couldn't help but look behind Lin Muyu and said, "Be careful of the god-destroying tower." Lin Muyu was also stunned. Ziyan in the air had already taken out the god-destroying tower. The tower spun rapidly and the demonic flame spewed out. It suddenly attacked the direction of Lin Muyu. Even Xiao was within the attack range. After being locked, she couldn't move and could only take it head-on. The 7 luminaries demon emperor smashed a holy king with his axe. He turned around and was shocked. Xiao. He flew over and was about to use his body to block the god-destroying tower again. However, a gentle force in the air pushed him away. Lin Muyu said in a low voice, "Brother demon emperor, step aside. Let me do it." Ah. The 7 luminaries demon emperor was stunned, but it was obvious that Lin Muyu wasn't joking. He wouldn't do this if he didn't have absolute confidence. Pung! Lin Muyu stepped on the void and flew towards the light of the god-destroying tower. At the same time, he put his palms together and looked calmly at Ziyan in the distance. Beams of sword intent revolved and condensed around his body. In the blink of an eye, they gathered in front of his body. There were more and more sword auras. Soon, they overlapped into a diamond-shaped giant shield formed by the power of the sword domain. It was bright and full of righteousness. Sword domain shield. Let's see if you can block it. There wasn't such a move in the AO sword technique. This was a move that Lin Muyu created by flexibly using the AO sword technique. She used the overlapping power of the sword domain to form a heavy shield to receive the opponent's fierce attack. The AO sword technique was just a general mental cultivation method. Only a martial god like Lin Muyu could understand the myriad changes within it. Die! Ziyan's roar came from the sky. The energy of the god-destroying tower officially exploded. Heaven and earth turned dark. The power of the entire demon domain was completely absorbed at this moment. Boom! The light beam bombarded the sword domain shield. Suddenly, the power of the first layer of the sword domain collapsed instantly. However, there was still the second layer, the third layer, and even more. Lin Muyu's eyes were cold. Her face was covered in sweat. She pushed the sword domain shield forward and approached the god-destroying tower. Although the power of the god-destroying tower was powerful, it only destroyed less than half of the sword domain shield. On the contrary, Lin Muyu sent the sword domain shield straight to the front of Ziyan and shouted, "Explode!" Bang! This huge energy shield actually exploded and turned into countless sword lights that raged in the sky. In an instant, countless people from the demon domain were killed. Ziyan didn't expect that Lin Muyu's move would be a defensive move with an offensive move. He could only use the shield power of the god-destroying tower to resist. In the blink of an eye, the light of the god-destroying tower dimmed a lot. Swish, Lin Muyu raised her hand and pulled out the Xianyuan sword. The sword light shone brightly, and her figure attacked like lightning. She slashed at Ziyan's arm that was holding the god-destroying tower. In the loud sound, the light of the god-destroying tower became even dimmer. The power of the god-destroying tower that was used to protect him had been severely depleted. Clang, 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 it was another 3 consecutive strikes. Ziyan was forced to retreat continuously. His face was full of shock. At this moment, Lin Muyu was worthy of the title of martial god. Who in the world could be this kid's opponent? Even the gods of the realm beyond Avalon would have to concede defeat against such a powerful attack from the heavenly might. Without waiting for Ziyan to go far away, Lin Muyu raised her hand and used the AO sword art again. Countless sword intents bombarded on Ziyan's protective aura. This lord of the demon domain had never been in such a sorry state. He held the god-destroying tower and retreated. At the same time, he shouted, "Protect the god-destroying tower. Kill them all. Kill them all." Between heaven and earth, countless Mara's army came with the pressure of Mount Tai. "You, don't chase too far." On the ground, the 7 luminaries demon emperor shouted loudly. And the corresponding voice was the voice of Baifeng Holy King, "Protect His Majesty Ancestor Emperor and retreat. Stop them." At this time, Lin Muyu had also consumed more than half of her divine power. She took a deep breath and carried the Xianyuan sword to attack back. Her body was full of sword aura, and no one could get close to her. The power of the AO sword art could be said to be fully exerted. And under the power of the holy martial arts, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, Feng Jixing, Wei Chou, Chu Chu, and other righteous gods were completely invincible. Each of them showed their magic power and fought with the army of Mara. In the blink of an eye, the ground was covered with a few thick layers of Mara's corpses. This was a great victory for the Eastern divinity. No one retreated. Nearly 300 people chased after tens of millions of Mara and attacked crazily. This battle lasted for a whole night. It was not until the next day when the sun pierced through the clouds that Mara's remnant army retreated. And not Haishan had been covered by Mara's corpse. The thick smell of blood was very pungent, but everyone who was covered in blood laughed. This battle was too rare. It was the beginning of the decline of the demon domain. On the peak of the mountain, the 7 luminaries demon emperor sat down on a rock. "Io, let's rest for a while. I'm so tired." Lin Muyu also descended from the sky. She shook her arm lightly and burned all the blood on the long sword. Then, she sheathed it and walked over on the rocks. There were only 2 little beauties in her eyes. She opened her arms and hugged them. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi also hugged him tightly. After a whole night of fighting, they actually didn't have a chance to hug each other. Cough cough, Feng Jixing coughed. Chu Yao chuckled. The 7 luminaries demon emperor wiped the blood on his face and said, I originally thought you would snatch the god-destroying tower. I tried, but I failed." Lin Muyu was a little helpless. She spread her hands and said, "A radiance armor technique and a sword domain shield almost consumed a small part of my strength. This directly caused my strength to not be able to break through Ziyan's protective chi. Otherwise, I would have been able to keep the god-destroying tower. Also, Big Brother Demon Emperor, you should have noticed a fatal flaw of the sword domain shield." The Demon Emperor's eyes lit up. He smiled and said, "The sword domain shield can only block 2 attacks from the god-destroying tower. If it is activated 3 times in a row, you won't be able to do anything, right?" "That's right. Ziyan is a fool. Ha ha ha, pack up and prepare to return Mount Deshang. After this battle, the demon domain will definitely retreat from Mount Deshang." Chapter 1249. In the afternoon, Mara's army had retreated from Mount Deshang, leaving behind only the ruined Hall of Deshang and the badly damaged Divine Realm Altar, Hall of Rites, Hall of Mental Cultivation, and Hall of Spiritual Wisdom. The gods slowly descended from the clouds. The 7 luminaries' demon emperor's face was ashen. Those bastards, they even burned down the divine herb garden we planted. Xiao gently landed on the ground and said, as long as there are seeds, we can replant the garden of magical herbs. Fortunately, Mount Deshang is still there. It's already a great gift that they didn't destroy this spiritual mountain. Lin Muyu frowned. Wei Chou, let's go patrol Mount Deshang and see if there are any ambushes left by the demon realm. Be careful. Yes, my lord. The two flew away. Sun Feng and Qing Ping, on the other hand, looked a little gratified. The Eastern God realm needed Lin Muyu, Wei Chou, and Feng Jixing, who had been through hundreds of battles and had rich experience. Their arrival was like a welcome rain after a long drought. Qin Yin did a quick calculation. There were a total of 14 righteous gods and 183 useless gods on Mount Deshang, which meant that the Eastern divinity only had these kindling left. She couldn't help but lament that the Eastern divinity, which used to have more than 100,000 troops, had fallen to such a state. Gradually, night fell. Xiao and Tang Xiaoxi found some food from the surrounding mountains and sent it to Mount Deshang by the rock. In addition, they had begun to repair the damaged houses. Even gods needed a place to live. This was inevitable. Lin Muyu and Wei Chou didn't go back for dinner. They were still searching around Mount Deshang. Stepping on a cloud, Lin Muyu's spiritual sense seeped into Mount Deshang. But all she sensed were layers of rocks that contained vast spiritual power. No matter how powerful the demon realm was, they couldn't penetrate every nook and cranny. Mount Deshang was formed thousands of years ago. Its structure was already perfect. It was impossible for them to invade at will. At this moment, Wei Chou suddenly raised the Ho-I bow and said, Your Excellency, look over there. What is that? Lin Muyu hurriedly turned around, only to hear a familiar sound coming from the clouds. Wait, don't attack first. Yes. Before long, a group of armored warriors riding on immortal phoenixes emerged from the clouds. Each of them held a weapon in their hands as they looked up at the peerless spiritual mountain that was Mount Deshang. At the front of the formation was an expert who was stepping on the void. He looked very familiar. It was Nangong Lai, whom they had not seen for a long time. He came from the sky, and around him was the divine power of a Mahayana heavenly god. Obviously, he had ascended. I haven't paid attention to the grimoire for a long time. I didn't even know that Nangong Lai had ascended. At this time, Nangong Lai had already seen Lin Muyu. He couldn't help but burst into laughter. He flew forward and said, Your subordinate Nangong Lai pays his respects to Lin General. Why are you here with Wei Chou? Lin Muyu was overjoyed. We should be asking you that. When did you ascend? It was so quiet. Just 2 hours ago. Nangong Lai's face was not without pride. He smiled and said, Lin General, your subordinate is a second-grade higher deity. I have the title of God of Earth. I control the power of Earth. Since I have ascended, I don't have much to bring with me. So, I broke through the barrier and brought 3,000 brothers of the heaven-punishing army to the eastern celestial realm. I wonder if these 3,000 heaven-punishing army will come in handy. Not only will they come in handy, they are practically timely help. Lin Muyu was overjoyed. Although the heaven-punishing army had also suffered divine punishment and lost their divine power, they could still fly. Moreover, they were very brave. They were even stronger than the crippled gods of the celestial realm. Moreover, 3,000 of them just happened to appear when the celestial realm needed manpower. If this wasn't timely help, then what was? Let's go. I will take you to see the 7 luminaries demon emperor. Lin Muyu patted Nangong Lai's shoulder. Yes, let's go. When the group of heaven-punishing army saw their real master, they showed respectful expressions. After saluting, they followed Lin Muyu, Nangong Lai, and Wei Chou and flew straight to Mount Deshang. What? 3,000 heaven-punishing army soldiers. When the 7 luminaries demon emperor heard this news, he was already grinning from ear to ear. He strode out of the hall of Deshang and looked at the heaven-punishing army soldiers standing in the square. He couldn't help but laugh. Io, they really sent a bunch of treasures. I was still worried that there was no one guarding the celestial realm. Now, it seems that there is no need to worry anymore. Xiao chuckled. Demon Emperor, these heaven-punishing army soldiers are used troops. Now that Nangong Lai has brought them to the celestial realm, are you going to reward Nangong Lai with something? Of course. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor pondered and said, Nangong Lai, now that the eastern celestial realm is in a mess, I don't have anything to reward you with. I'll just give you an empty title and confer you the title of General Zhan Lai. You will be in charge of the imperial army of the eastern celestial realm. Of course, there is no imperial army at the moment. When it is rebuilt, you will be the general. How about it? Thank you, Demon Emperor, for your reward. Nangong Lai knelt on one knee and bowed. Get up, there is no need to be polite. At this time, most of the righteous gods and crippled gods had already gathered in the Hall of Great Accomplishment. Almost everyone was looking at the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor. He coughed and said, this time, it was thanks to martial god Lin Muyu's timely return that our eastern celestial realm was able to escape this calamity. In this battle, Yu's contributions are unparalleled. As for rewards, I really can't think of anything good to reward him with. How about we split the throne of the eastern celestial realm's king of gods in half, me and you will each have half. Yu, what do you think? Lin Muyu stood below the king's step and shook her head. She said, there is no need, big brother. There is no need for that. Besides, I have long been indifferent to glory, splendor, wealth and whatnot. I can even give up the title of Prince Qin in the Shattered Cauldron realm, let alone the eastern celestial realm's king of gods who only has a dozen or so righteous gods under his command. It is said that mothers don't despise their children for being ugly. You are really an exception. You actually despise your family for being poor. Forget it, you are a martial god, a supreme god. It makes no difference whether you are rewarded or not. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor had a resentful look on his face. He said, You and Feng Jixing are people who have been through hundreds of battles. How do you think the eastern celestial realm should deal with the current situation? Guard them first and wait for the ascended righteous gods to gather. Lin Muyu raised her eyebrows and continued, in addition, send people to investigate and find out clearly where the Devil World's army is, and where Ziyan is. After all, they only suffered some losses this time, but they have not truly suffered any serious injuries. The main force of the Devil World is still there. Yes, let's do that. Ziyao, who was at the side, said, in this battle, Ziyan was lightly injured by Ayu, so the enchantment he condensed in the god realm has already turned into nothingness. Now, it is very easy to find his position. My northern heavenly will can easily find him. Don't worry, leave the investigation to me. Qin Yin said, Ziyan is constantly looking for new helpers and power. The 9 underworld's demon monarch is an example. In addition to the nightmare army that big brother you encountered, it is clear that Ziyan will not give up easily. Naturally, Ziyan is looking for ancient power. We cannot just sit and wait for death. In my opinion, we can also seek help. Oh. Xiao smiled and said, Xiao Yin, did you find something? Qin Yin smiled and said, yes, when I investigated the order of the 6 realms, I found a very strong force in the ghost realm. This force originates from the quiet spring, and there is an awe-inspiring righteousness in the power. Therefore, I think that there are gods hidden in the quiet spring that we do not know about. We should send people to investigate. Maybe we will find something. Xiao nodded, you are the graceful goddess who controls the order of the 6 realms. Your senses cannot be wrong. Then, the eastern divine world will send some righteous gods to explore the quiet spring. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor said, wait, Mount Deshang needs to be guarded by the main force. Otherwise, it will be troublesome if Ziyan returns. In addition, the reason why Mount Dashang was directly attacked was because Mount Dongming, the outpost at the entrance of the Eastern Heaven Realm, was captured. Therefore, I plan to send a team to rebuild the defense line at Mount Dongming. This requires manpower, and our biggest problem now is the lack of manpower. Sun Feng cupped his fists and said, I am willing to go and rebuild Mount Dongming. Qing Ping also nodded, I am also willing. Lin Muyu said, Wei Chou has the Ho Yi Bao, which is very effective against powerful demon gods. It is suitable for defense. Let Wei Chou, Shao Shi, and Big Brother Feng guard Mount Dashang. Demon Emperor, you, Sister Xiao, Lu Kuei, Xia Yan, and Nangong Lai will lead half of the Xingtian Heavenly Army to rebuild Mount Dongming. As for the rest, Shao Yin and I will go to the Quiet Spring to look for new divine world powers. Shao Yin can sense the order, and I am enough to deal with danger. The two of us are the most suitable. With just the two of us, will it really be okay, you? The Demon Emperor seemed to be a little worried. No problem. Lin Muyu smiled faintly, the Quiet Spring is located in the Ghost Realm. Demon Emperor, do you think the Ghost Emperors in the Ghost Realm are my match? That's true. Then let's go. I will be at ease if you are with Shao Yin. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor waved his hand lightly, then don't stay idle. Carry out your tasks. The rise of the Eastern Divine World depends on us. Yes, Demon Emperor. Everyone answered in unison. At night, the bright moon shone on the attic of the Hall of Great Accomplishment. Are we really leaving immediately? Tang Xiaoxi sat on the railing and asked gloomily. Yes, there are many things waiting to be done in the Eastern Divine World. We all have to contribute. But I want to go with you. Lin Muyu approached her and held her hand. I also want to bring you with me, but the Divine World is too short of manpower. You have the power of a righteous god, so it is better for you to stay here. Sister Chu Yao, Brother Feng, and the others will accompany you. The Quiet Spring is not a fun place. I have been there once, and so has Shao Yin. It is safer for us to go together. Then you have to come back early. Tang Xiaoxi gently leaned into his arms. Lin Muyu caressed her hair gently, but his body suddenly froze and did not move for a long time until he turned into countless fireflies and disappeared in the air. That was the scene of a righteous god's death. Tang Xiaoxi tried to grab him but she could not. Her heart was in so much pain that she could not speak. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Suddenly waking up from the bed, Tang Xiaoxi's body was surrounded by flames, almost igniting the bedding. Her face was slightly pale, so it was a dream. Shao Yin, please be okay. Chapter 1250. At midnight, the gates of hell opened. The inside of the gates of hell was filled with black mist, and one could even faintly hear the cries of ghosts and gods, making one's hair stand on end. Fortunately, it wasn't the first time Lin Muyu and Qin Yin had come here, so they weren't that afraid. Swish, swish, 2 figures dragged the golden flowing light of the Mahayana heavenly Tao into the gates of hell. In the distance, a long line of people went straight to the bridge of helplessness in the distance. The 6 realms were in chaos, and there were many wars. The business of the ghost realm was getting better and better. Countless ghost soldiers drove ghosts to walk on this road to the Yellow Springs, and one could hear the sounds of beatings and wailing at every turn. Lin Muyu flew at a low altitude with Qin Yin, and looked at everything in the ghost realm with a frown. There were so many dead souls here, which could only mean that the number of dead in the mortal world was innumerable. Who is it? A huge black shadow shouted in the air. It was a ghost dragon leader. Under the light, Lin Muyu saw his appearance clearly. It was extremely ugly, so she said, "We are from the Eastern Divine Realm, and we want to go to the Nether Spring to investigate something." The ghost dragon leader also discovered the identity of the two, and immediately said respectfully, "So it's the 2 immortals. It's just that the rules of the 6 realms are like iron. Even immortals shouldn't enter the ghost realm. I hope the two immortals can understand. This lowly one can't let you enter the lower ghost realm. Qin Yin smiled faintly, and gently raised her palm. The power of law was dense in her palm, and she said, the order of the 6 realms is in my control. I think I can be exempted from this, right? You are the graceful goddess Qin Yin? The ghost dragon leader was shocked, and hurriedly bowed respectfully on the dragon's back, and said, if it's the graceful goddess, then please come in. Please forgive this lowly one for being blind. Lin Muyu smiled at Lin Muyu, grabbed his hand, and flew through the air, heading straight for the lower purgatory. But just as they were about to enter the entrance to Inferno, another group of people blocked their way. This time, it was a group of people dressed in golden armor. They were the abyssal prefects of the ghost realm. These were existences that were second only to the 3 ghost emperors. However, in the eyes of Lin Muyu and Qin Yin, these abyssal prefects were far too weak. They were the kind of people who could easily take on 10 abyssal prefects at once. Exalted immortals, please wait. An official lord carried a huge shovel and said, I'm the Hengyang official lord. May I know why the 2 of you are heading to the 18 levels of purgatory? Lin Muyu said, we discovered an anomaly in the netherworld spring, so we want to investigate it. This is also for the good of your ghost realm, I hope you won't stop us. Exalted immortal, the affairs of the ghost realm will naturally be handled by the ghost immortals of the ghost realm. There's no need for the gods of the Mahayana heavenly path to intervene. I hope you can focus on how to fight against the devil realm. The ghost realm doesn't need you to intervene. Lin Muyu raised his hand and pulled out the Shenyuan sword. For a moment, the patterns on the sword flowed endlessly and were incomparably dazzling. The power of the Saint martial arts was extremely mighty. Exalted immortal, what do you want to do? The Hengyang official lord was shocked. If the soft approach doesn't work, then the hard approach. What do you think I want to do? Lin Muyu said lightly. He didn't want to waste time here. Anyway, he had already caused havoc in the ghost realm once, so he didn't mind doing it again now. Qin Yin also pulled out the Donghua sword with a smile and stood side by side with Lin Muyu in the wind, ready to cause havoc in the netherworld. The Hengyang official lord's face was extremely ugly. He said, although we are not as strong as the exalted immortal, the dignity of the ghost realm official lord cannot be blasphemed. Since the 2 exalted immortals want to fight, then let's fight. The 5 official lords all took out their weapons, and around them, the densely packed ghost dragon leaders, ghost soldiers, and ghosts also approached one by one, ready to attack Lin Muyu and Qin Yin at any time. You really dare to fight? Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh. He suddenly opened his left hand and shouted in a low voice, Heaven and earth, listen to my command. The light of the blood-red thunder surged, and the power of the Saint martial arts erupted. Suddenly, the bodies of the 5 official lords couldn't move. Lin Muyu's arms sank slightly, and their bodies crashed into the ground, creating a large pit. Each of them looked very embarrassed. Although their lives were not in danger, it was embarrassing enough. In front of a group of his subordinates, they didn't even have the power to fight back. Bang, 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 with 3 consecutive sounds, Lin Muyu used the bodies of the 5 official lords to create a large pit in the ground that led straight to the 18th level of hell. Then, he raised his hand and threw the 5 official lords into the air. He smiled and said, Shao Yin, let's go down. Yes. Facing the blood-red ghost flames, the 2 righteous gods flew down. In the depths of the well of reincarnation, one of the 3 ghost emperors, the ghost emperor of 5 directions, slowly opened his eyes. There was a trace of helplessness in his blood-red eyes. He said, that brat Yu, why doesn't he go through the front door? It seems that the idiot weeping blood is going to clash with you again. Before he finished speaking, the voice of an official lord came from outside the stone door, Your Majesty, there is news from above that 2 righteous gods have broken into the 18th level of hell. Should we go and have a look? What are you looking at? What's there to look at? The ghost emperor of the 5 directions stretched lazily. The 18 hells are Weeping Blood's territory. It has nothing to do with us. If there's any crime, let that old bastard Weeping Blood suffer. Have you forgotten that he tried to take over my territory last month? Weeping Blood's cultivation has improved by leaps and bounds recently. It's a good time to let him know that there's always a higher mountain out there. But, the 3 ghost emperors are on the same side. Isn't that a little inappropriate? Cut the crap. Wake me up when the War God and Grace Goddess arrive at the Well of Reincarnation. Your Majesty, how do you know that they're the War God and Grace Goddess? Even the War God is here. Shouldn't we inform His Majesty Weeping Blood about this? Inform my ass. I'd be happy to see him get a good beating. Yes, Your Majesty. I'll get to it right away. What are you going to do? There's nothing for you to do. Go back to sleep. Yes, boom. The earth trembled, and a giant hole appeared in the purgatory. When Lin Muyu broke through the 11th purgatory, the main character could no longer sit still. Amidst the fiery wind and clouds, figures appeared one after another on the land of the 11th purgatory. Among them, there were countless prefects, ghost dragon leaders, and even a ghost emperor. It was the legendary Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor, the ghost god that Lin Muyu had met once before. Stop! Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor roared. His voice actually formed a blood-colored barrier in the air. His strength was unfathomable. No wonder he was so arrogant recently and even challenged the ghost emperors of 5 directions. Looking at the 2 righteous gods in the sky, Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor was stunned. Why do you look so familiar? What's wrong? Don't you recognize me, Your Majesty? Lin Muyu smiled. So, it's you, Lin Muyu. Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor was shocked. He originally didn't know the identity of the 2 righteous gods, but he recognized Lin Muyu. In this world, who didn't know that Lin Muyu was conferred the title of martial god by the Mahayana Heavenly Tao? Even the remote ghost realm knew that there was only one martial god in this world. You. Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor trembled with anger. As a martial god, why did you come to smash my 18 purgatory? I'm not smashing, I'm just passing by. Lin Muyu emphasized with a solemn expression, the gate to the 18 purgatory is too hard to find, so I had to forcefully break through the spatial wall. This way, it would be more convenient. Xiao Yin and I have an important matter to attend to at Nether Spring. I hope Your Majesty won't obstruct us. To Nether Spring? Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor said, Nether Spring is Dong Lin's territory, why are you going there? Xiao Yin clearly sensed the disorder in Nether Spring, so as the righteous gods of the 6 worlds, we have the responsibility to investigate. After all, the matter in Nether Spring might be beyond the 3 great ghost emperors' ability to handle, so please don't obstruct us. Beyond the 3 great ghost emperors' ability? Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor couldn't help but laugh. Lin Muyu, even if you're a martial god, aren't you being too arrogant? Is there anything in this vast ghost realm that the 3 great ghost emperors can't handle? Since you're so arrogant, I won't be polite with you. Come, let me see how powerful a martial god is. Men, carry my blood blade. A few ghost soldiers came with a battle blade. The blade was as red as blood, no wonder it was called Blood Blade. Buzz. Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor suddenly grabbed the blade with a sinister smile and said, if you can defeat me, you can come and go as you please in the 18 layers of hell. No one will stop you. But if you can't beat me, then sorry, there will be no more martial gods in the 6 worlds from now on. You want to kill me? Lin Muyu asked with a smile. Why not? Then come. Lin Muyu didn't even draw her sword. She dived down and went straight for Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor. Come, have a taste of your father's blood blade. The blood blade streaked across the sky, and streams of ice-cold air swept over. It was bone-chilling. No wonder the blood-sobbing Ghost Emperor was so arrogant. His cultivation had at least doubled in the past few years, and he was already above the Ghost Emperors of the 5 directions. However, Lin Muyu's cultivation speed was even faster. She closed her fingers and slashed down with sword intent, 30% of her strength. Pung. As the sword will collided with the blade, Lin Muyu raised her finger and slashed out 3 times in a row. Unexpectedly, the blood-sobbing Ghost Emperor was forced to retreat as his battle boots stomped on the flaming ground of purgatory. Ah! A trace of surprise appeared on his face. He didn't expect Lin Muyu to be this powerful. However, there was something even more unexpected. Buzz. Lin Muyu clasped her palms together and unleashed a huge sword intent. 60% of her strength. The hard ground exploded, and Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor's battle blade was directly blown away. Blood scars appeared on his chest. His body could no longer withstand the attacks of AO sword arts. Even the 9 Underworld's Demon King couldn't withstand the 60% attack of Lin Muyu, let alone a mere Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor. In the sky, 3 dazzling sword lights hung there, ready to take Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor's life at any time. Lin Muyu looked down at the ground and said indifferently, "Admit defeat, and I won't kill you." Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor lay on the ground with a pale face and trembling body. He said, I admit defeat. Martial God, please spare my life." "That's right." Lin Muyu flipped her palm, and the power of AO sword arts dissipated. She said, "Shao Yin, let's go down." Chapter 1251. The Valley of Fallen Gods was one of the many spiritual mountains in the eastern divine world that was close to the border. Now, it had become a temporary base for the demon world. Millions of Mara were hovering in the sky, bustling with activity. On the peak of the mountain, a group of holy king and demon generals stood there respectfully, surrounding one person. This person was naturally Ziyan. His expression was gloomy as he held the god-destroying tower and said, "In this battle, how many of Mara's troops did we lose? Answer me truthfully." A demon general said, "Nearly 7 million, Your Majesty." 7 million, Ziyan's eyes were filled with deep hatred. "A mere battle cost me 7 million Mara's troops. What a martial god, what a mad god. I will turn you into ashes sooner or later. Just you wait." Holy King Baifeng said in a low voice, "Your Majesty, the enemy is strong while we are weak. Lin Muyu's holy martial power is incomparably strong and can raise a mortal's cultivation to the god realm. Our Mara is not even worth mentioning in front of these righteous gods. Our advantage in numbers cannot be shown at all. In my opinion, why don't we return to the demon world and continue to cultivate the god-destroying tower to nurture stronger demon gods?" "What did you say?" Ziyan grinned coldly. "Baifeng, I know you have good intentions, but if you dare to say such words again, I guarantee that you will suffer a fate worse than death. Your subordinate." "Your subordinate knows his mistake." Baifeng took a few steps back and knelt on the ground. The group of Holy King Baifeng said in unison. Holy King Baifeng was just speaking without thinking. "Your Majesty, please forgive us." "Humph." Ziyan looked at the glowing god-destroying tower and said, "Lin Muyu, the 7 luminaries demon emperor, and the rest think that the demon world only has the weak Mara. They are gravely mistaken. I will prove to them how powerful the demon world is." Baifeng was stunned. "Your Majesty, you have a plan?" "That's right." Ziyan looked up at the sky and said, "Why is the heavenly path of the Mahayana Plain called the heavenly path of the Mahayana Plain? That's because there are 3 ancestral gods protecting the people of the 6 realms. On the Golden Mountain, which is known as the Holy Land, Fuxi and his 4 disciples have been resisting the devouring of the netherservant behemoth. Fuxi is like a bright lamp that illuminates the gods of the 6 realms. This time, we won't do anything else but extinguish this bright lamp and use the divine power of the netherservant to create the strongest warrior of the demon realm. Let's see how the gods of the heavenly path of the Mahayana Plain will resist." "The strongest warrior of the devil world?" Baifeng was stunned. Ziyan laughed heartily and said, "In the legends of humans, Goddess Nuwa created humans. Then, in the legends of the demon realm, it was ancestor Emperor Ziyan who created the demon race." The group of Holy King was stunned. No one knew what Ziyan was talking about. Ziyan stood up and held the god-destroying tower majestically. He said, "Pass down my order. Holy King Haifeng will lead 5 million Mara to attack the Western Divine Realm. Holy King Han Yen will lead 5 million Mara to attack the Eastern Divine Realm. Holy King Heng Kong will lead 5 million Mara to attack the Northern Heavenly Realm. Execute this immediately and fight to the death. If you don't conquer these 3 realms, you don't need to come back." "Yes, Your Majesty." The 3 holy kings turned around and gathered the army of the devil world as if they were under a mind manipulation spell. "What are we doing?" Bai Feng asked in shock. "What are we doing?" Ziyan chuckled and said, "You will know very soon. Bai Feng, gather all the demon generals and holy king level experts. Follow me to attack gold in half a day. I want the 4 realms to know the determination of the devil world and pull out Fushi, this guiding light." Bai Feng, yes, half a day passed quickly. Not long after, Ziyan led the army of the devil world and rushed into the sky. Their target was gold. On gold, the flowers of a few holy trees were falling one after another. These flowers were glowing with a faint golden brilliance and were incomparably holy. However, they were still withering as if foretelling something big was about to happen. "Master, they are coming." Fan Yang cupped his fists and said, "Ziyan's current strength has reached an unimaginable level. With the help of the god-destroying pagoda and the god-beast Shiming, I'm afraid we will not be able to stop them." Fushi stood under a towering holy tree. He was dressed in a white robe and had the demeanor of an immortal. He said calmly, "Master has ordered us to guard this place. This is our fate. If fate dictates it, we will not be able to escape. Once we leave, gold will definitely be devoured by the god-beast Shiming. Then, the Eastern Realm will be devoured next. At that time, the entire 6 realms will not be able to escape the fate of being devoured. How will we face the common people? How will we face the gods of the heaven beyond heavens?" But Meiyu frowned and said, "Master, why is it that only our sect has to bear all of this?" Fushi nodded and said, "This is fate. The gods of the realm beyond heaven aren't omnipotent and omniscient. The demon world has come too quickly, and perhaps even Master didn't expect it to be like this. We have to survive this tribulation, and even if we can't, we still have to prepare the formation. If Ziyan wants to kill us, we can't let Shiming continue to devour us." Luan Xing looked at Fushi worriedly and said, "Master. Master, don't say any more. Set up the formation, they are coming." "Yes." In the sky, dark clouds rolled over. The people of the devil world had really come. Apart from that, a loud roar came from the horizon. It was the angry roar of the god-beast Shiming. It was ready to attack gold again. "They are coming." Fan Yang lightly swung his treasured sword and stepped on the star position. He said, "Be careful." Fushi stood on the main star position and looked at the devils in the sky with a calm expression. With a light wave of the infinite sword in his hand, a huge light from the formation soared into the sky and protected the whole of gold from being invaded. In the clouds, the devil world's army was ready to fight. A person flew forward and held the god-destroying pagoda in his hand. He smiled and said, "Heavenly Emperor Fushi, you once commanded the 4 great god realms and were known as the #1 person in the 6 realms. How does it feel to be surpassed?" Fushi smiled faintly and said, "Wind is everywhere. You can surpass it for a moment, but can you surpass it for a lifetime? Ziyan, as the devil lord, why don't you think for the devil world and make such a big fuss? Do you think the Mahayana heavenly Tao will let the devil world go?" Ziyan laughed loudly and said, "Don't give me that. You make it sound like you will let the devil world go if I don't kill them. You righteous gods have always been hypocritical. Our devil world's war is called killing, but you killing the people of the devil world is called eliminating demons and protecting the Tao. Tui. Do you have the final say in this Tao? In my opinion, everything I'm doing now is subduing demons. I'm subduing you hypocritical evildoers and subduing your filthy inner demons. Stop talking nonsense and prepare to receive my attack. Fuxi smiled leisurely and said, You seem to be the one who talks the most, damn it. Ziyan was flustered and exasperated. He suddenly took out the god-destroying pagoda and roared. The light from the pagoda soared into the sky, and the entire sky seemed to be illuminated by a deep purple light. The power of the devil world was reflected rapidly and seeped into the god-destroying pagoda. It attacked the gold god-destroying pagoda with a vast heavenly might. That beam of purple light was incomparably tyrannical. Bang! The power of the god-destroying pagoda crashed onto the golden enchantment, and at the same time, the golden enchantment trembled. Fuxi, Fan Yang, Miue, and the others who were standing in the center of the enchantment also trembled. Even Hao Chen, who had a weaker cultivation, had blood flowing out from the corner of his mouth. It was just one attack, but the god-destroying pagoda had already depleted close to 30% of the enchantment's energy. Hao Chen, control your mind. Fuxi gently waved the immeasurable sword in his hand, bringing with it waves of peaceful ripples that filled the entire enchantment, calming the demonic thoughts and shock that seeped into the hearts of the 4 disciples. Master, I'm fine. Hao Chen nodded. Prepare for the second attack. Yes. In the sky, the second beam of light arrived in less than 10 seconds. This time, Ziyan was completely flustered and exasperated. He looked as though he would not give up until the god-destroying pagoda was destroyed. Boom! The light from the god-destroying pagoda crashed into the enchantment again. This time, the entire enchantment started to tremble, and the flowers on the saint tree at the back had already started to wilt. PFFF, Luan Xing and Hao Chen vomited blood at the same time. This attack had depleted the enchantment's energy to less than 30%. Master, I'm afraid we can't withstand the third attack. Miue's face was pale as she muttered, If little junior brother was here, how good would it be? Fuxi's gaze was indifferent, with some disappointment. He said, You has his own mission to complete, and this is our mission. Hold on, the more energy the god-destroying pagoda is depleted, the more energy the demon world will deplete. If we die for the Mahayana Heavens Tao, it will be worth it. In the sky, Ziyan's fierce roar could be heard, Damn it, it's still not broken? Shiming, you bastard, what are you waiting for? Swallow this god-destroying pagoda, quickly. Roar roar roar, the clouds rolled, and the huge beast Shiming appeared. Its huge mouth looked like it was going to swallow the heavens and the earth. It opened its mouth, and its ferocious fangs bit down on the golden enchantment. Pung! Shiming's fangs bit through the golden enchantment, but it was not good for Shiming either. He suffered the continuous backlash of the enchantment, and the corner of his mouth had already split open. Blood splattered, and he screamed continuously. You're finally willing to appear. Fuxi's brows relaxed, and he revealed a relaxed look. Master, the enchantment can't withstand it anymore. Fan Yang shouted. Fuxi said, Don't panic. As he spoke, Fuxi carried the immeasurable sword and flew up, facing Ziyan's third attack. Buzz buzz buzz, the god-destroying pagoda screeched, and the third attack was about to be unleashed. All of you, go and die. Ziyan roared, and the pagoda pointed straight at god-destroying pagoda. A huge beam of energy flew out. But Fuxi, who was in the air, faced the attack with confidence. He suddenly held the immeasurable sword in front of him, and rays of golden light flowed out, causing the group of demon generals and the holy king to be dumbfounded. They had never seen such a powerful god before. He actually used his own strength to fight against the god-destroying pagoda 3 times. 10,000 immeasurable techniques, subdue demons. Fuxi shouted. Instantly, the beam of light from the god-destroying pagoda was swallowed and transformed by the immeasurable sword's light. How is this possible? Ziyan turned pale with fright. Fuxi spun and landed on the ground. The immeasurable sword in his hand suddenly pointed at the god-beast Shiming on the other side. He shouted, Evil creature, since you have fallen into the demonic path, let me purify you. Hong! An extremely strong light shot into the sky, and the energy from the god-destroying pagoda 3 times exploded at once. Roar, 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 the god-beast Sherming's body trembled and cracked, and its cries echoed in the sky. You're tuning in to the Carefree Valley YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.